A very good morning. All right. So, all right. So, we have gathered here to go through a class that gives us a good understanding about the requirements for Karnataka geography. Of course, a disclaimer right before beginning the class. This is not a complete class. The criticism what we get usually for rapid classes, rapid revision classes is you are too fast anta. Correct alva? Let me remind you people that this is definitely not a class that gives you all the details. This is a rapid revision class. And the objective of these classes is probably to, kind of come up with the hand-holding sessions for the people who are preparing for this particular examination as far as the subjects are concerned, and for the people who have attended these classes, it's a good revision class for them. That is the sole objective. Please remember that. All right. And as far as Karnataka geography is concerned, that is what we are here to, go through a revision class of Karnataka geography. Karnataka geography. The importance of Karnataka geography in your examination, the present KPSC, KS examination, what you are hoping for, right, to appear, has a very great importance as far as this particular subject is concerned, because as I've already been telling in the classes, Karnataka geography gives you a very good understanding about the physiographic features. The physiographic features are one of the most dominant features that regulate major affairs of Karnataka, isn't it? All right. Then it gives you a very good analysis, understanding about the climatic features, the climatic characteristic features of the region of Karnataka, which is very essential to understand a lot of economic prospects of Karnataka, such as agriculture, industrial locations and whatnot. So it has a very good understanding, very good importance in understanding, or the base of this Karnataka geography will enable you to understand plentiful of, right, socio-economic factors that is very crucial for the progress and prosperity of the state of Karnataka, all right. And by economic resources, I mean you can understand the process in which the minerals are distributed. You can understand, right, the agricultural prospects largely taken together as the primary sector is what we call it. And once you have the sound understanding about the primary sector, you can go up with an understanding about, you can have a very good understanding about the industries, right. So this is the physiographic dimension, economic dimension, and also Karnataka geography will enable you to understand the social parameters or the demography, simply to put together, right. We could call this as the demography of Karnataka, the broad areas, right, that we would be covering today. All right, let us quickly start with the physiographic features of Karnataka. If you can please help me out with the physiographic features of Karnataka. Let us start with having an understanding about the physiographic features of Karnataka, right. By first beginning with, if you can tell me what is the latitudinal extent of Karnataka. Karnataka spans from latitude number so and so, so many inches, so many minutes, or so much of degree of latitude. What is that? Northern extension and southern extension, please. 11. Are you aware about all these things, sir? Karnataka 11, 11.8. Madam, if you can please tell me what is the latitudinal extent of Karnataka, to be very specific. The southernmost latitudinal extension would be 11 degrees, okay na? At least remember that it is 11 degrees. E number 31 minutes, it's all right. Even if you forget about it. Correct, Allah, because that is too less, too narrow a margin to be asked. But it's KPSC. You have to remember at least. You have to identify this particular number. 11 degree 31 minutes to 18 degree 45 minutes. This is the north-south extension of Karnataka, isn't it? How many kilometers? 750. 750. Okay, approximately 750 kilometers. Okay, of north-south extension. All right. And what is the extension of the coastal plains of Karnataka? 300? okay, 320, 340, it's all right. If you are very close, that's enough. But latitudinal extension, 11 degree to 14 degree, all right. Somewhere around 14 degree some minutes, isn't it? How many minutes, madam, to be very specific? We have no idea? Yes, we'll have an idea about that, all right. So how many physiographic divisions is Karnataka divided into? Generally, geographically, physiographic divisions would be divided in the form of chronological categories. Did I tell you this? Please, if you have not attended the classes, conducted over here, it's still all right, but you have to go through a particular sequence in order to understand geography better. The traditional approach, the bookish approach will never ever tell you about these things, right? That is what I am going to tell you about the thing. Geography has to be studied chronologically, right? Chronologically, by chronological I mean with time is what time as the basis. Geography is the study of, like we already know, is the study of space, the spatial aspect. But little we know that geography also encompasses a very large dimension of temporal aspects, time related aspects. So it's a study, it's a discipline incorporating the relationship between space and time. Understand this, that is what it is. If you could establish this particular relation, geography is a cakewalk. Let me justify this. What do I mean by this? Chronologically by that I mean during what time which landform features or what developments have been happening. Correct, Alva? Since the formation of the earth, the very oldest time period, that is when the earth started stabilizing, cooling and solidification, when the earth was molten, when the earth was hot, when the earth was gaseous, earth started stabilizing by cooling. When earth started cooling down, when earth started solidifying, what happened? Right? The crust formation happened, correct, Alva? So at that point of time, whatever the crustal formations have happened today, we have them as the plateaus. Correct, Alva? The plateaus are not the tallest of the tallest places, but they are flat topped tablelands. Correct, Alva? Once upon a time, probably these plateaus were very, very, very tall. But with the time, since they are the oldest, with the time they have been reduced to this particular level today. Isn't it? So if the oldest parcels of the earth, what do you think? Will they be economically important? Will they be economically important? Absolutely yes. So some of the precious minerals for your various economic activities such as mining, iron ore, manganese, correct, Alva? Gold, in fact, taken together, all these have been concentrated in these locations. Is Karnataka home to a large plateau region? Yes. The amount of plains that are found in Karnataka is very limited. The amount of plateau region is very high, correct, Alva? So we have number of, the economic prospects, the primary sectorally, we have a lot of mining activity going on in Karnataka. Karnataka is one of the dominant most state of gold producing, correct, gold producing state anta helbodu. So that is what it is. So plateau is the earliest formed, right, followed by the mountains. The mountains have been formed in the later stages. We know we can categorize them as old mountains as well as young mountains, correct, Alva? Himalaya is an example of a young mountain today. Young mountains will be very, very tall. Comparatively, old mountains which have developed much earlier will not be that taller, right? For example, it is the Aravalis in India. You know that. Aravali ranges is an example of an old mountain, relict mountain anta heltivi. So its height will not be that tall. But comparatively, younger formation landforms are very tall, right? Landforms, structural landforms that have been built up, those landforms. Then followed by one of the latest developed landforms is what we categorize them to be the plains. Because once these landforms, once variations that have been developing on the surface of the earth, if it is being eroded, if it is being reduced, that is when you have a plain. So plains are the last to form technically by that logic. All the variations, whatever have been generated in the earlier times, that has been leveled today, right? Leveled recently, that is what I can definitely conclude. So plains are comparatively recent landforms. So usually this will have lot of depositions because materials from these landforms, earlier variations has been taken down, have been cut down and has been deposited over here. Plains are usually depositional plains. And of course, there are other categories also, islands and auxiliary miscellaneous category. So this is what this categorization, the chronological basis of studying physiographic features in geography has been applied to the case of Karnataka also, and accordingly Karnataka has been physiographically divided into how many physiographic units? Physiographic units of Karnataka. I hope so you understand the word physiography. Physical traits. Graphy is you are tracing, you are describing, giving a description. That is what it is. Graphy andre. So physiography, it's nothing but the description of the physiographic features. In Karnataka, we have categorized them as what? Which are the divisions, physiographic divisions of Karnataka? Madam? Okay, we have categorized them as plains. We definitely have one plain category. Then, madam? Okay. Okay. And? Islands. Okay. Islands of Karnataka. If I have to follow the chronological sequencing exactly, I'll have to come with the Plateau region first. And in Karnataka, the Plateau region is what we call it as the Maidan region. Clear cut. We have two different categories of them based on their description, based on their graphe, right? We have the North Maidan as well as the South Maidan. Is this the eastern part of Karnataka? Correct, Alva? Is this the eastern part of the Karnataka? Yes. So definitely we would be calling them as the eastern Maidana region anta karitevi. Second physiographic division. Yes. And by that logic, the number comes down to 1. North Maidan, South Maidan, separately we have discussed this. So the number comes down to little. So we are going to study them as an extension of the same unit. So physiographically speaking, Karnataka, does Karnataka have any mountains? There is no mountains in Karnataka. It's as simple as this. Karnataka is not home to any mountain. So which is the next category that we are going to? The plains. What kind of plains can you find in Karnataka? Do you have alluvial plains? You might have alluvial deposits, but alluvial plains, not yet. Not yet. Rivers have not consolidated the plains of the plateaus of Karnataka into a plain region. So therefore, largely this plain is on the western side of the western Ghats, which would be categorized them as the coastal plains of Karnataka. All right. Any other category? The islands of Karnataka. Is this what we have studied? Yes, broadly. We must have categorized North Maidan and South Maidan as two different subcategories. Correct, Alva? All right. All right. And instead of one more category, instead of taking over mountain as an added feature, but meanwhile there was some other category, some other development that Karnataka has seen. That is what we call it as the Malnad region. The reason why I have played it down, the reason for playing this physiographic feature down is because this is a characteristic feature that has happened during the Paleozoic era anta heltivi. All right. But please try to understand, forget about Paleozoic era as of now, but please try to understand this is not separately a physiographic unit per se. There is some modification that has happened on this particular unit. Correct, Alva? It has not formed. Whatever has been formed has been broken down, and the subsequent whatever the developments have happened, because of that we have an elevated area today. That is that, understand that. Please, the base of Malnad region again would be the same, the similar base as that of any other Azoic era. So you are going to find iron ore resources here also. Correct, Alva? Did I tell you about this? Geographical eras, geological eras is what we call it. Geological eras. The earliest of the earliest era would be the Azoic era, isn't it? Please remember this. This is the basis of mineral distribution. This is the basis of landform formation. Azoic era is the oldest era. When the earth was a small kid, probably, if I compare this with the human life cycle, when the earth was just born, correct, Alva? Just born, Andre? Probably, when the kid starts walking, take it that. The kid starts stabilizing anta helbodu. Before that, the kid cannot walk on its own. So something like that. When the earth started stabilizing, when the earth was small kid, started, capable enough to walk on its own, that stability, that is the point of time. We have a number of cooling and solidification, and whatever has been appeared over there. Today we get them as important mineral resources. What kind of mineral resources? To be very specific, they are metalliferous. They will contain iron, metalliferous minerals. I don't say there are no metallic minerals. Absolutely, there are metallic minerals also. Gold is an example. But I hope so you know it. I hope so you know this process. I believe that you know. Otherwise also, let me tell you, The reason why we have these metallic minerals, if you ask me, even though they are heavier, technically they must not have been found on the top surface. Because they are found on the top surface because Azoic era has undergone something what we call it as degasification. Understand this, degasification. Degasification is a process wherein earth cooled down abnormally. Correct alva? Abnormally andre it had to take some amount of time, a large amount of time for it to cool down. But lots and lots of gases that has been passing out of that has been emanating from the earth's interior took away with it a lot of heat and earth started cooling down very rapidly. Very rapidly andrunu bahalastu varsha tagondirutte. But yes, that prevented this sorting. If I take a glass, a very resistant glass, if in that glass, if I put different minerals in molten form, can you say with the time, those heavier minerals will settle down? Haudalva? Those heavier minerals has to settle down. And the lighter minerals will be on the top. Correct alva? But if I take this glass and subjected it to intense cooling, what will happen? Those heavier minerals will be still remaining on the top and the lighter minerals probably would have been remaining in the bottom position still. That arrangement, resorting would not have happened in a very prominent way. Correct alva? And yes, it's a molten mineral. If it cools down, it solidifies. It does not go back until unless it is molten again. Correct alva? That's the reason we have some parts and parcels. This degasification did not happen everywhere. There are certain parts and parcels on the earth where this gases started coming up. Those are the locations where earth cooled down very rapidly. And it is these locations where you are going to get what? These heavier minerals on the surface. Otherwise, rest of all the surface of the earth is dominated by silica. Correct alva? Aluminum, the comparatively lighter ones. And not all the part and parcels of the earth is what you can expect iron ore mining. Correct alva? They are only very crucial places. These crucial places definitely should be Azoic. Karnataka is home to a number of Azoic eras. Places belonging to Azoic era. Those are the oldest and the oldest parts of the Karnataka antanu helbodu. In fact, of the earth anta helbodu. One of the oldest region, right? What we have in Karnataka. Then followed by Paleozoic era. After Azoic era, what will happen? Or forget about it, totally forgot about it. Can you find any fossils over here? Did life develop over here? Absolutely not. So whatever the minerals you get, they are non-fossiliferous. Understand this. That means you cannot expect any kind of fossil. Can you expect energy resources in this era? Can you expect formation of energy resources? Energy resources are carbon based. Fossils, not yet. Life forms have not yet developed. So this is the point. These are the areas. If an area is subjected to, if area is belonging to Azoic era, imprint of Azoic era anta ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕಣ್ಣು ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಎನರ್ಜಿ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ do you have coal resources? Coal is the first energy resource that we got, earliest to form. Do you have any kind of coal resource reserves in Karnataka? Not possible. Correct alva? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಏನು ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಲೈಫ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಫಾಸಿಲ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ವಿ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇಟ್. Later with the time, probably some organic element, a river must have bought it, must have deposited it, but definitely that will not be a good quality of coal. Are you understanding it? Probably millions of years later, that will concentrate itself into a very small coal seam. Are you understanding this? With the time, of course, this is the Azoic part. Eastern Maidan region, technically what we call it as, right, the extension of Telangana Plateau. The extension of Maharashtra Plateau. This is the northeast Karnataka. North Karnataka anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Correct alva? North Maidana region. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ South Maidana region is extension of what? Bangalore Mysore Plateau ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Are you understanding this? Plateau regions are the oldest of the old region. You can expect iron ore. No doubt about it. You can expect some of the metallic resources also. ಅದೇ gold is one important one. Correct alva? With the time, Azoic era transforms itself into which era? Paleozoic. Paleozoic era means the old era. I'm not going ahead with the numbers. Otherwise, if you want, probably I'll go ahead with numbers. This is somewhere around 4.6 billion years ago until 600 million years ago. This is the number if you ask me. What is the window if you ask me? 600 million years ago. ತನಕ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ Cenozoic ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Because this is the point of time when life form started becoming. Life form started evolving. Life form started developing. So that aspect from where life form started developing is what we call it as the Paleozoic. Zoic means life. Paleo means old. Old life forms are found over here, and of course there is no price to guess. Life started in which medium? Aquatic medium. Alright, oceans agirli, pond agirli, stream agirli, vela beda. It is aquatic. So whatever has been, whatever cooling, solidification, right, magma, ಏನೆಲ್ಲ cool and solidify ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ over here, you can definitely call it to be Paleozoic. And will it be fossiliferous? Can you expect fossils in the rocks that has been formed in the Paleozoic era? Are you with me? When I say rocks are being formed, andre, throughout the history of the earth, there is volcanic eruption. Howdalva? This volcano, that magma, what is inside the earth's surface, makes it outside the earth's surface, lava anta heltivi. That lava, once it cools and solidifies, a new rock structure forms. Correct alva? Everything, physiographic unit depends upon it. Artha ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, which eraದಲ್ಲಿ form ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ rock, ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು characteristic features ಇರುತ್ತೆ. That is how life goes on. Please, Paleozoic eraದಲ್ಲಿ definitely there will be fossils. And can I say, the type of the rocks that are developed over here, what are they? If you are aware about the types of the rocks, there are 3 types of rock: igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. So cooled and solidified rock is what we call it as pakka. Okay, igneous rock. But igneous, will it stay in the same characteristic feature, same physical features for a long period of time? No. If it is subjected to abundant amount of time, pressure, volume changes, what will it transform into? Metamorphic rock. So that means you agree with me that there is igneous formation in the earlier times. Will the rock formed, will it be subjected to erosion? Will the rock get eroded with the time? Yes, that is how plateaus, tall plateaus today, tall landforms today are the plateaus. Correct? That is how plains are formed. Those regions that have been eroded excessively, plains. So with the time, there is erosion, no doubt about it. And if there is erosion, naturally there should be deposition also. And there are agents who does this. I don't want to go into all that. Water can do it, wind can do it, sea waves can do it, right? Glaciers can do it. All these agents, once they start eroding a particular rock, the rock of the Azoic era, and probably they start depositing it in the Paleozoic era, what kind of rock can you expect out of depositional activity? The third category of rock, that would be sedimentary rock. Do you know sedimentary rock has certain layer by layer appearances? Strata anta helteva, ade sedimentation episodes. There are different episodes of deposition. One layer by layer structure irutte adake. Howda? So can I say this sedimentary rock will have characteristic features belonging to the Azoic era, like iron content in it, some heavier metals in it. Correct alva? Can this sedimentary rock also undergo metamorphism with the time? Yes, why not? Sedimentary and metamorphic. Most of the rocks that have been formed in the Azoic era and most of the rocks that have been formed in Paleozoic era today are in the form of metamorphic rocks. I hope so you know the examples. If there is cooling and solidification of the volcanic magma, probably we might get granite. If granite undergoes metamorphism, we call it as gneiss. Correct alva? Marble is it a sedimentary or igneous rock, sir? It's a metamorphic rock. What has it metamorphized from? Coal. Yes, limestone, a sedimentary rock, undergoes metamorphism to form marble, one of the hardest, no doubt about it. Okay, and since there is life forms over here, especially life forms of aquatic ecosystem, if I tell you that if this aquatic life undergoes extinction, mass extinction, can I say a lot of carbon will be added to the ecosystem? In fact, that has what has happened. Correct alva? And can I say what will I get? Yes, the first energy resources, fossilized energy resources, carbon based energy resources is what is called as coal. Now this has not happened. Karnataka is largely deprived of the Paleozoic developments imprint because it is a very dominant Azoic landmass. But what has happened in Paleozoic era as far as Karnataka is concerned is that, or as far as India is concerned is that it broke away. From which part? Once upon a time we were part of, we are not a part of, we were together with, in Gondwana land, yes, Gondwana land taken together, we were attached with Africa probably and Australia. Correct alva? You know the continental drift theory. Continents are drifting, the tensional effectivity has resulted in breaking up of rock mass and whatnot. Yes, that has happened. Correct alva? That has happened. So probably that has given us some sort of elevated structures. When we break away, when there is breakup of large continental blocks of masses, probably a part would be elevated. It might seem that it is elevated. Or if a part of that rock falls off into the neighboring sea, this will be elevated looking as if there is a very steep face, correct? That is Western Ghats. That is nothing but Malnad region. Malnad region does not have a specific, specific activity for its formation. Definitely not. It has undergone some changes, aste. Adakoskara I have downplayed that. Correct alva? It is belonging to different zones, different eras, because different eras have a bearing and imprint on it. Formation, ಓದಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. Origin ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Formation andre it should be cooling and solidification. Origin andre it has gone modification. So Malnad region has gone modification. Number of modification that has happened over here. Cenozoic or Mesozoic. Midlife. Nothing predominant over here. But again, whatever the development, Western Ghat was subducing. Correct alva? Western side of the Western Ghat is a very broad profile. If you see, right, under the water that I mean, under the water the continental shelf is very large, so therefore all these modifications have happened. Finally in the Cenozoic era, with the time, Cenozoic era, what happens in Cenozoic era? You get young landforms, right? Usually Himalayas, as I have told you, has developed in the Cenozoic era. Is there any kind of mountain building activity in Karnataka? Yes? ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಎನಿ ಮೌಂಟೇನ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ? ನೋ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೌಂಟೇನ್ಸೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಮೌಂಟೇನ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ? ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಡಸ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ರೀಸ್? ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಬ್ ಕಾಂಟಿನೆಂಟ್, it is deprived of any active boundaries. Correct alva? It is a very stable, one of the best and the stablest land masses because it is the oldest formed land masses. Karnataka would have been subjected to, or idi peninsula, South India peninsula has been subjected to a lot of modifications and today they are very stable. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅರ್ಥಕ್ವೇಕ್ಸ್ ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ಬೋದಾ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ? ಇಸ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ an earthquake prone state? No. Is Karnataka having mountain building activity? Does Karnataka have any volcanic eruptions? ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೂ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿಗೂ ಸಂಬಂಧನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. At this moment we had once upon a time. So if that is not the case, we will not have mountains, we will not have volcanic activity, and we will be very stable landmass as far as earthquake as a disaster is concerned. In fact, we are so far away from an active boundary that we are very less prone to even tsunamis antanu helbodu. Tsunamis is nothing but submarine economic earthquake seismic activity agodu. Correct alva? But the last era, giving numbers over here just to have an idea, Paleozoic era is from 600 to 225 million years ago. Mesozoic 225 to 75 million years ago. Cenozoic 75 to 1 million year ago. And Neozoic, the last era is 1 million till present. Idralli a number of landforms would have, by this time a number of landforms would have been completely reduced to the ground. A number of erosions, whatever has been carried out would have been deposited. Correct alva? And time has been given. So we get a lot of plain regions. Artha madkoli. You will get a lot of depositional activity and a lot of plain regions. Which part of Karnataka has a plain region? The western side of the Western Ghats. Yake? From the Paleozoic, when western part of the Karnataka broke away from Africa, correct alva? And its subsequent subduction, what has happened, led to new physiographic sloping, leading to beginning of west flowing rivers. Are the west flowing rivers of Karnataka fast? They are very fast because of the slope, very steep slope. Correct alva? Will they be associated with erosion? Yes, they are so fast, they are so energetic, and their erosion capability is too high such that they will not deposit a lot. It will just take away all the sediments into the Arabian Sea, ocean alla, sea, marginal water body. Correct alva? That's why we do not have any deltas. Do we have any deltas in Karnataka? Deltas are the places where rivers deposit, the third stage of river activity anta helthivi. Correct alva? We do not have any deltas because rivers have not entered the old stage at all. They are still in the young and the mature stage. Are you understanding this fact? But in this process, a number of plain regions, alluvial depositions in the mature stage gives us a number of flood plains, or even in fact Karnataka being very proximate to the neighboring marginal water body Arabian Sea will also have an influence of additional agent of erosion, that is coastal waves, sea waves. Sea wave indano deposition agbodu, sea wave indano erosion agbodu. Correct alva? We have a very dominant physiographic unit called as the plains, but we do not have alluvial plains. Largely we have coastal plains. Artha agta idya? Oldest, youngest. Are you understanding this? Malnad region formation has somewhere happened in between them. Artha madkoli. Formation anta helalla, subjugation process ಏನು ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, right? Detachment ಏನು ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, that activity anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ happened somewhere in between these things. So that is how chronologically we have categorized this. And if you know this, Azoic eradalli you will get metalliferous minerals. Azoic eradalli you will get probably metallic minerals also. Paleozoic era, forget about this. Not much of this has happened in Karnataka, so we are not supposed to know with respect to Karnataka. Cenozoic era, Neozoic era, yes, to a certain extent we have been having this imprint, so we will get a number of depositional activity, depositional features such as the coastal plains. So can we get comparatively younger energy resources such as shale gas? Is there a possibility? Yakilla? Yes, Neozoic imprint nam Karnataka. Can we get, is there a possibility of getting uranium as an energy resources in Karnataka? Yes, why not? Because all those are not Paleozoic. They are comparatively Neozoic, Cenozoic. They are formed later. Yes, no doubt about it. Monazite sand, kelidira. Beaches al sigutte anta heltare. Correct alva? Is there a prospect in Karnataka? Why not? Why not is the question. Are you understanding this? So one by one, let's talk about this. So you have, I believe, you have an understanding about the formation, the time period from which they have formed. Islands bitaki. Ella time period allano agirbodu. There is no time frame associated with it. Alright, so let's proceed to discuss about, first things first, we'll start with the youngest, last in the start madana, coastal plains. If you can tell me about something about the coastal plains of Karnataka. Yes, coastal plains of Karnataka. What about it? What about the coastal plains of Karnataka? Which are the states, which are the districts ashteli? How many districts are there in the coastal part of Karnataka? There are 3 districts, north to south heli. It would be very good. Then Udupi, Dakshin Kannada. All right. So you have a general idea about the political divisions of Karnataka. Haudalva? Eshtu jillegalidave? Pakka? 31 or 30? As per 2011 census, 30. After that, as per the current information, we have 31. Latest statistic yavdu? Okay. Gottide alva? Okay. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಫಿಸಿಯೋಗ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಫೀಚರ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಅದರ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ 3 ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು. ಮಲ್ನಾಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೆಳಗಾವಿಯ ಮಲ್ನಾಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್. ಮಲ್ನಾಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಬೆಳಗಾವಿ, ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರು, ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ ಟಿಲ್ ಡೌನ್ ಕೊಡಗು ತನಕ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಆ ಬೆಲ್ಟು. ಓಕೆ. ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, which is the average, what is the average elevation of Karnataka? Average elevation of Karnataka ಎಷ್ಟು? How do you, how much is it? ಎಷ್ಟು? Okay. Do we have any very tall regions in Karnataka? Mullangiri nowhere comparable. ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ the height of Mullangiri is 1913 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. That is nothing compared to the young mountain, the elevations features, Himalaya agirli, bere mountains agirli, it is nothing. And I told it is not a mountain also. Yes, but the tallest peak in 2000, definitely it cannot be close to 2000, or definitely it cannot be above 1000 also, because most of the state of Karnataka is either plains or plateau. Plain is also a very lowly elevated region. Plateau is also. Plateau nodi 900, 800 irutte. But since not all the region of Karnataka is a plateau region, there are some low-lying regions also. So the average will definitely come down to further even from them. Correct alva? According to the geological survey, the average elevation of Karnataka would be somewhere around 460 meters above the mean sea level. So this is the average elevation. We are not the tallest of the tallest places. Okay, na? The more closer to the surface we are, the better stable we are. Artha madkoli. Correct alva? As far as disaster component is concerned, do you think so Karnataka is disaster prone state? Yes. Illa anta helebaardu. Correct alva? Only if our CM hears this, you said no anta, he'll have a very big, probably a health crisis on the spot alli. Correct alva? Drought is a very important disaster. But what am I talking about is that we do not have lot of physiographic disasters. We have meteorological, climate based irbodu. Meteorological irbodu. Physiographic tumba kashta. Do we have tsunamis? Do we have earthquakes? Cyclones? Cyclones ಬಂದ್ರೂ ಆದ್ರೂ ಎಲ್ಲಾದರೂ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಆದ್ರೂ ನಮಗೊಂದು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಅದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ವಿತ್ ಇಟ್. ಬರಲಿ, ಹಾಳಾಗೋಗ್ಲಿ, ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಹಾಳಾಗೋಗ್ಲಿ, ಒಡಿಶಾ, ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಮಳೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿಲ್ಲ. Are you understanding this aspect, right? So we have to have this understanding, right? Okay, then if you can tell me highest peak. Okay, one of the highest peaks, the top 5 highest peaks helboda yavadu? Mullayanagiri, no doubt Mullayanagiri is the tallest of all. Baba Budanagiri, Kudraimukha, Rudragiri, ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಾವಲ್ವಾ ಟಾಪ್ 5? ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರು ಯಾವುದು? ಪುಷ್ಪಗಿರಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಹಾಂ, ನೋಡಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ? ಯು ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ ದಟ್ ನೇಮ್. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ವೈ. ಹಾಂ, ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಟಾಪ್ 5 ಇದು ದೇವಿರಮ್ಮನ ಬೆಟ್ಟನೂ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್. ಸೊ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಎಲಿವೇಷನ್ಸ್. ಒಂದು ಎಲಿವೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಯೂಶಲಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಐ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದಟ್ ದ ಕಲರ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಗ್ರೀನ್ ರೀಜನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಲೋ ಲೈಯಿಂಗ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಯೆಲ್ಲೋ ರೀಜನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ಲೈಟ್ ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಟೂ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಂತ, ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಫೀಚರ್ ಅಂತ. ದಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಬಿ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಅಟ್ಲಸಸ್. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯುವರ್ ಅಟ್ಲಸಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹೋಪ್ ಟು ಪಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಇವನ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಒನ್ ಅಟ್ಲಸ್. And without even having one atlas is not the requirement. You have to go through it. That's the requirement. Okay na? All right. What about the coastal plains? Please, if you can tell me. Coastal plains of Karnataka. Largely, what is the nature of these coastal plains? It is said that they are a wave cut platform. How the wave cut platform antane ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. The clue probably examination ಬಂದರೆ ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ. ಏನಪ್ಪ ಇದು wave cut platform? Wave. What has come to your mind? Water. Okay, very good. Which water? Sea wave ಅಂತ ಅದು ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಮುಗಿತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎನಿವೇಸ್, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ erosion. So most probably whenever the statement comes coastal plains is a wave cut platform andre, which is the most dominant activity, coastal erosion. What are the other types of erosion that is possible over here? Riverine also. Correct alva? Are there a number of rivers that are flowing over here? West flowing rivers anta helteve. Correct alva? So we cannot give that credit to the west flowing rivers. These are the ones that has formed this particular plains anta helakagalla. But at the same time, have they contributed here? Yes, adannu nenpitkobeku. Out of riverine activity and out of coastal activity, which is that has formed, which is the major dominant activity that has formed these plains? ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಥರ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್ ಬೌಂಡ್ರಿ ತನಕ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್. ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್? ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್? ಎಸ್, ಹೌದಾ? ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಡಾಮಿನೆಂಟ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ, ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ? Agriculture. Because plain are the regions that are supposed to be having a very good mix of mineral depositions. So therefore the fertility of that particular place will be high. The only factor that you have to consider is availability of water. And since this very close to since very proximate to the marginal water bodies, is there a problem of moisture over here? No. One of the higher rainfall zones of Karnataka, correct alva? So agriculture is very prosperous over here, isn't it? So latitudinal extent, you know, don't you have an atlas, please? How much? What is that, madam? I have told you this in the class. 11 degrees 4 minutes to 420. 420 would be a number that you will repeat it very often. I mean, so many places alli barutte, correct alva, right? Within the recent classes also I told you something about this. So this is the latitudinal extension, north-south extension, and it is approximately of the plains, the width of the plane, sorry, the you know, the vertical, the distance, horizontal distance of the plains would be 320 meters. All right. If you can tell me what is the physiographic structure of these plains? Is this plains quite narrow or broad? Narrow in the north, broad in the south. How the something like this? Yes or no? Why narrow in the north and broad in the south? Because this is very clearly following, yes, the Western Ghats. The alignment of the Western Ghats is regulating the formation of these plains anta helabodu, correct alva? So the plains, if the examiner makes a statement, the plains of Dakshina Kannada are wider than the plains of Uttar Kannada, true or false? Okay. Then talking about the sea wave deposition, if I ask you the sea wave depositional activity of the sea wave is higher in Karnataka than that of Kerala, true or false? Ivella applications of whatever you must have studied anta ankontene. Depositional activity, allunu plains idave, illunu plains idave, coastal plains, that is not what I am talking about. Nodi, when there is too much of depositional activity, sea wave related, coastal depositional activity tumba jaasti idre, you will have backwaters, you will have number of lakes, ee marine lakes anta helide, brackish water lakes. Kerala dalli idiya, is known for it, correct alva? Ade east coast alli Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, are they known for their lakes? Chilka lake kelidira, Pulicat lake kelidira, howda, right? So those are the places, if you get those, it means dominant depositional activity. Karnatakadelli irabodittu, I am not saying that iralla, irakka sadhyane illa anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, correct alva? It might have been possible, but what has happened on the western side of the Western Ghats? The major rock mass has just subduction anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, correct alva? That has completely pressed that reset button. ಇನ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. Are you understanding this fact? So definitely sea wave depositional activity is not as that great as that of Kerala or any other state comparable. Gujarat, there will be so many navigable creeks form ಆಗಬಹುದು, natural harbors form, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗಿಲ್ಲ. I mean ಇದೆ, but very less proportion, that is what I mean. Okay na? Then that's why we don't have too many offshore islands also. Understand this, on the coastal side too many ಜಾಸ್ತಿ islands ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, very handful of islands ಇರುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಉಡುಪಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಸರ್ ಯಾವುದು? St. Mary Islands. Do you understand this? Or deposits, bar deposits, pits, sandbars, ಇಂಥವೆಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ is deprived of it. Please try to understand. It is an interplay between the coastal erosion, coastal activity as well as the riverine activity, and which is dominant? Coastal. If the subduction would not have happened, I would have safely said that it would be an alluvial plain also, that would have been a dominant activity. But whatever the river has deposited from years together, sudden ಆಗಿ ಹಂಗೆ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ submerge ಆಗೋಯ್ತದು. Are you understanding this? That has given us another landform, that would be the Malnad region, the Western Ghats, correct alva? This is regulating the slope. Is the western slope of the Western Ghats very steep? Pakka. In comparison to the eastern slope, technically ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಎಲಿವೇಶನ್ ಇರಬಾರ್ದಿತ್ತು, ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ರೀಜನು ಅದೇ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ದಿಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಸಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪೆಂಡ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ದ ಇಕ್ವೇಷನ್ ಆಲ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಟ್ ಯೆಸ್, ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ prospects and so many problems also. That's a different case. So moral of the story is eastern side of the Western Ghats would be having a what slope? A steep slope or a gentler slope? All right. Okay na? And if the examiner says, if the coastal plain ಏನೇನೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, the western side of the Western Ghats or Karnataka has been influenced by eustatic fluctuations. If the term, technical term ಕೊಡಬಹುದು, ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. Eustatic fluctuations. Or if the examiner uses the word terraces as far as coastal plain is concerned, what do you think? Do you know about this? What are terraces? What are terraces? Yes. Terraces, as far as geographical formation is concerned, is a step-like physiographic unit. Terrace cultivation ಕೇಳಿದ್ರಾ agriculturally? Slow piece regions ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೈಸ್ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಷನ್ ನೀರು ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರಬೇಕು, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಈ ಸ್ಲೋಪ್ಸನ್ನು ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಟೆರೆಸ್ ಥರ, ದ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಥರ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಟೇ. ಟೆರೆಸಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೇಕನ್, ದ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫಿಸಿಯೋಗ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್. ಟೆರೆಸಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ರೈಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಪಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್, is this coastal plain of Karnataka, has it been subjected to changes in the sea level? Is the sea level of the world constant? Does it change? How? Glacial period of glaciation alli enagutte, sea level will drop down. Howda? When the sea level drops down, can I say more land mass is exposed? And sea level ice age ಏನು 1 ವರ್ಷ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಅಥವಾ 6 ತಿಂಗಳು? Is that how it is going to be? It's going to be for a long period of time. Understand this. And when a new face of the rock mass is exposed for a long period of time, will it be undergoing erosion? How the? Then will sea level change? Will it increase after the termination of the ice age? Ice age terminate adre, that all ice will melt, and will it contribute to the rise in the sea level? Why not? Are you understanding this fact that sea level fluctuation is a constant thing? ಈ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಫ್ಲಕ್ಚುಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ? ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಇದು, ಬಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನರ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ನಮಗೆ ಡೆಸಿಫರ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಯೂಸ್ಟಾಟಿಕ್ ಫ್ಲಕ್ಚುಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋ, ವಿತ್ ದಿಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಟಾಟಿಕ್ ಫ್ಲಕ್ಚುಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇರೋಷನ್ ಅಟ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್, ರೈಟ್, ಅದು ಒಂದು ಮಾರ್ಕನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟೋಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ? ಇಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಟೆರೆಸಸ್. ಅ ಟೆರೆಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅಪಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಗಬಹುದು. That is one of the important feature of the coastal plains of Karnataka. All right. Okay. There is a question here. Does continental shelf play a role in coastal erosion? Let's imagine if we had a very narrow continental shelf, will the erosion be high or low? First of all, the question is fundamentally not proper anta heltini. Continental shelf and coastal erosion, I don't know how to derive a linkage over there. That's not the case, right? Continental shelf is mostly associated with what we have spoken about, the mean sea level. Continental shelf is nothing but that submerged part, extension of the marginal land masses. And always remember, erosion does not happen below the mean sea level. That is what we call it as the base level of erosion. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ erosion ಆಗೋದು ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ವೆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್, ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು, ಆ ಕಂಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಈ ಯೂಸ್ಟಾಟಿಕ್ ಫ್ಲಕ್ಚುಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಫ್ಲಕ್ಚುಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆದರೆ ಅದು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ವೆನ್ ದ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಡೌನ್, ಎಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ವುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬಿನ್ ಇರೋಡೆಡ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನ್ಯೂ ಏರಿಯಾಸ್ ವುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬಿನ್ ಇರೋಡೆಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್. ಈ ಥರ ವೆನ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ಎಕ್ಸೀಡ್ಸ್, ರೈಟ್, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಗ್ರೆಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಸಸ್. ಸೊ ಒಳಗಡೆ, ತುಂಬ ಒಳಗಡೆ ತನಕ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಇರೋಷನನ್ನು ನೀವು, ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇರೋಷನನ್ನು ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಮೀನ್ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲ್ಲ. But in the previous times, probably it would have been different than today. It is correct, alva? That is something that is associated with this thing. Okay, and if I have to ask you about this question, which is the northernmost, since rivers are draining over here, which is the northernmost river and the southernmost river, west flowing rivers? Heli. Sir? Kali river, river Kali. Kali Nadi is the northernmost river, correct, alva? Where does it originate? Where does it flow? Where does it meets the Arabian Sea? ಉತ್ತರ ಕನ್ನಡ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಕಾರವಾರ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಓಕೆ, ವೇರ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೀಟ್ ದಿ ಅರೇಬಿಯನ್ ಸಿ? ಅಸ್ಯೂಮಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್, ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಡ್ರೈನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಅರೇಬಿಯನ್ ಸಿ, ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? ವೇರ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಡ್ರೈನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಅರೇಬಿಯನ್ ಸಿ? ವಿಚ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್, ವಿಚ್ ಸಿಟಿ? We have discussed this abundantly in the classes, I believe. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಮಿನೆಂಟ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್. right? Where does it mean? Or which is the southernmost river ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ನೀವು? Netravati. Where does Netravati go meet Arabian Sea? Near Mangaluru. ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ಪ್ರಾಮಿನೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಧಾರವಾಡ ಆಗಲಿ, ಹೊನ್ನಾವರ ಆಗಲಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಭಟ್ಕಲ್, ಕುಮಟಾ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಆರ್ ದ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ವೇರ್ ದ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ಸೆಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬಿನ್ ಡೆವಲಪಿಂಗ್ ಓವರ್ ದೇರ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಇಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ದ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಟ್ ಲಿಬರ್ಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ದ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್, ಇನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್. ರೈಟ್? ಓಕೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಅನ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ ದಟ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ the question, another category of question as far as coastal plain is concerned would be regarding the deltas. The west coast plains of Karnataka, of course, west alle irodu, right, does not form any deltas. Which of the following reasons anta enadru ಒಂದು category of question kelbodu. Yak delta form ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ? Number 1, that subjugation has happened. Delta form ಆಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು depositional activity ಆಗಬೇಕು. Which depositional? River deposition. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? ಪ್ರಾಬಬಲಿ ಆಯಿತು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ರಿವರ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತೈತೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಬಟ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಬ್ರೋಕ್ ಅವೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಆಫ್ರಿಕಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಸಬ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆಂಟ್ ಡ್ಯೂರೇಷನ್, ಸಬ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್, ದಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜುಗೇಷನ್, ದಟ್ ಸಬ್ಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನ್ಸ್. ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಾ? ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅಬೌವ್ ದ ಮೀನ್ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್, ಬಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಫಾಲ್ಟ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಜನರೇಟೆಡ್ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಬ್ರೋಕ್ ಅವೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಆಫ್ರಿಕಾ, this rock mass became very weak and it just submerged. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನೋ ಮೋರ್ ಅಬೌವ್ ದ ಮೀನ್ ಸಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್, ನಾವು ವಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಇಟ್. ಹೌದು. ಡಿಡ್ ಐ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ದಟ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ರೀಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿಯನ್ನು. ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಒಂದು ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಅ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ ಟು ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್. Subduction is one reason. Second reason, most of the rivers, most of the west flowing rivers are in which stage? Are in which stage on the western side of the Western Ghats? Not only young. If you say young, you're absolutely wrong. Also mature stage. Mature stage ali it's not a delta is not a characteristic feature. Delta is a characteristic feature of which stage? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ವಾ? Right? Is there any old stage activity over here? Not yet. Was probably, not yet, not anymore. Is western coastal plains ಅಲ್ಲಿ can you expect the west flowing rivers to meander? ಯಾಕೆ? ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕಂತ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೆಚೂರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಮಿಯಾಂಡರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಫೀಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ವಿಚ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳಿ. ಮೆಚೂರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ಮೆಚೂರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮಿಯಾಂಡ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕು. ಮಿಯಾಂಡ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ದಟ್ I don't know what, some of you will have a very wrong picture about it. Just a snake-like movement. That is all meandering is. It forms due to erosion and deposition on the banks. Correct alva? Intense meander is a characteristic feature of comparatively the later part, old stage alli. Oxbow lakes anta kelirtiri. Oxbow lakes iralla illi. Very rare. Are you understanding this? So you should study, when you study about the world geography, rivers in young stage alli features ಏನು, mature stage ade, that knowledge is what you have to extend it to the state of Karnataka also. Are we clear on the fact that most of the rivers, west flowing rivers, are in young and mature stage, and as a result of it they do not form deltas? Helbodalva? Okay. And are we aware about the alignment? Narrow in the north, broad in the south. Helbodalva? Okay. That's all. Then talking about sea wave deposition, beaches. There is one. The next category of question what you can expect is the beaches. What kind of beaches do we have? Beach andre no. Beach is a coastal feature or a riverine feature? ಅಂದರೆ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇರೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತನಾ? ಓಕೆ. ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಅ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಆರ್ ಇರೋಷನಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ? ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ಬೀಚಿಗೆ ಹೋದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಟು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ದ ಸ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಫೈನ್. ದಟ್ ಫೈನ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನ್ activity is by coastal depositional activity, and it does not happen everywhere. Wherever the platform is conducive or wherever the rock structure is favorable, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆಗುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? And there are different types of beaches that are available. Karnataka is home to 2 different types of categories of beaches. I'm not going into other categories, but whatever is applicable over, I'm going to restrict myself to that. Beaches can be with headlands. Headlands ಅಂದರೆ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೇ ತುಂಬ ಒಂದು ಹಿಲ್ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಥರ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. Beaches can be without headlands also. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಬೀಚಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಶೇಪ್ಡ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಹೆಡ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಶೇಪ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಬೀಚಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಥವಾ ಬೀಚಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಲೀನಿಯರ್. ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಲೀನಿಯರ್ ಬೀಚಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ? Can you find crescent-shaped beaches in Karnataka? Yes. So that straight beaches are the beaches where there are no headlands. Headlands andre pakdalle ಒಂದು land hill feature ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಿರಲ್ಲ. Where can you find this? ಮರವಂತೆ ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ ಮರವಂತೆ ಬೀಚ್ ಎಲ್ಲದು? ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ದಾರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಯಾವನೀಗ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಎಸ್, I told you, remember this, Bhatkal is the point. To the south of the Bhatkal, the nature of the beaches change. To the north of the Bhatkal, the nature of the beach change anta. By nature, I do not mean the culture over there. I am restricting myself to physiography. South and bandre salpa party prospects kammi. North ಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ you can party. That is absolutely not my intention over here, and that is not what I mean over here also. Correct Allah? That's your extrapolation, what you are doing over here. To the south of the Bhatkal, what do you get? You get beaches linear in nature. To the north of the Bhatkal, you get crescent shaped. Crescent shaped beaches one example kodi. Yes. Om beach. Yelli Gokarna. Gokarna is to the north of the Bhatkal or to the south of the Bhatkal. By this logic, north. Inneno. All right. And extending this, since Karnatakadalli most of the dominant landform, island category would be coastal area. So let me discuss about these things, since as an extension of this. What do you think about the islands? What are the islands? What are the categories of the types of the islands that are available in Karnataka? List ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, you select. You just tell me if they are applicable to the state of Karnataka or no. Coral islands. Yes. I don't mean coral formations. Yes, Karnataka has a number of coastal formations along some of the islands. No doubt about it. Are they islands coral in nature? That's a different story. Correct alva? It's like Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep. Andaman and Nicobar is a continental island. Correct alva? It's a submerged peak, submerged mountain expose ಆಗಿರೋದು. Correct alva? Whereas Lakshadweep is a coral. A platform, submarine platform ಮೇಲೆ corals develop ಆಗ್ತಾ above the mean sea level ಬಂದಿರೋದು. So I hope so you understand the difference. Does Karnataka have any coral islands? No. Does it have coral formations? Right. Does Karnataka have any volcanic islands? Yavudadu? Okay. Does Karnataka have riverine islands? Yes, a number of them. Correct alva? Does Karnataka have any inland islands? Inland islands is basically like riverine islands, but not on rivers. That's all. They are covered, right, with water. Nothing major. Okay. Does Karnataka have offshore islands? They have, but again not in abundance. There are different categories of the islands. All right. And another major categories, all these categories, subcategories, you can categorize it as oceanic islands and continental islands. I hope so you know what is the difference. Oceanic islands, ocean is the dominant regulator over here. Continental islands, continent in the extend ಆಗಿರುವಂತ ಒಂದು islands ಗಳು ಇವೆಲ್ಲ. Correct alva? Can you name some of the islands, please? Netrani is definitely an island that has coral formation. That is my point. That is exactly my point. Okay na? And yes, even if you consider that to be a coral island, but the proportion is very small, negligible. By that logic, we even have all the categories really. Right? Islands of Karnataka, please heli. Are there any offshore islands? Ilva? Offshore islands andre off the coast. Yes, what is St. Mary Islands? It's a volcanic island as well as offshore island, there is no doubt about it. Have you heard about Pigeon Islands? Bhatkal, Hog Islands, Bhatkal, off the coast of Bhatkal, off the coast of Honavar, off the coast of Udupi, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ನಿಮಗೆ ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಸಿಗ್ತವೆ. You have to make a list of all of them. Okay na? Prominent ones, St. Mary's Island, Coconut Islands, correct ಅಲ್ಲ? ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ನಿಯರ್ ಮಲ್ಪೆ, ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ. And ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ what are you taking from here is that these are volcanic islands, or these are islands formed due to volcanic eruption. Okay, now I told you one point of time we were very tectonically active, but no more. We are not. We are very stable. Correct alva? One point alli fissure type of eruption ittu. That is why even the black soil has formed, the Deccan Plateau has formed antanu heltare. That is a feature of Mesozoic era. Mesozoic era. Correct alva? So you have to have this understanding, know the nature and any specific types of formation that you know about. Bariri athwa nodi in this context also kelbodu. There are some of the, find this out, there are, or I will tell you later when we discuss this, there are a number of wildlife sanctuaries that are based on these islands. Islands andre inland island category irutte, monsoon bandre akkpakdalella neer ninthkonbittirutte. Bird sanctuaries, so many bird sanctuaries follow this particular norm in Karnataka. Monsoon season alli or the prime season when there is moisture, on precipitation season anta helbodu, aa season alli when there is abundant amount of rainfall, some islands or some places that are a little bit higher in elevation, but the neighboring areas will be comparatively depressed, comparatively lower in elevation, allella akkpadalli neer ninthkonbidutte. So giving them a sense of isolation, disturbance ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. So many birds will flock there. Correct alva? This is during this time you will find, ನೀರಿದ್ರೆ, there will be a lot of mosquitoes. Correct alva? Water stagnant. I am not talking about mosquitoes. There are so many insects that can come up with. They feed upon them, these birds, and it is their breeding season. Correct alva? And that is what we have been protecting it. Wildlife last till matartini adar ಬಗ್ಗೆ, I'll tell you some of the examples over there also, but I hope so you understand it is in this context that you have definitely have to study about them. ಈ island, ಈ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ, ಈ point, ಆ categoryನೂ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. What is the nature of this island ಅಂತನೂ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Anything unique that you have found over here ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Okay na? That's something as far as island is concerned. Okay. What about the island we have off the coast of Karwar? On there are number of islands. See, as I've already told you, right, there are number of islands off the coast. There are number of offshore islands. I did not deny it. In the north there is altogether a different category. In the south altogether there is a different category, sir. It is usually in the south that we have that volcanic influence. All right, someone has asked this. Okay. Then other physiographic unit, the Malnad, the Western Ghat. Let us talk about it. The Malnad region of Karnataka. What about this? What about this region? What do you know about the Malnads of Karnataka? Yes. What about this? Can you tell me if Malnad region is an example of a climatic divide? Yes. Is it an example of a water divide? What is a climatic divide and what is a water divide? What is a climatic divide, sir? You're giving me an example. You're not telling me what is a climatic divide. Changes in?
The climate of two different places.
Again, you're giving me an example. If there is a prominent physiographic feature or a landform feature, in this case, like what you're using, like that of the Western Ghats, if there is a prominent landform feature, and if you find two distinctive categories of climate, two distinctive climatic categories on either sides of this particular physiographic unit, then that physiographic unit can be called as a climatic divide. Is the climate on the western side of the Western Ghats different than on the eastern side of the Western Ghats? No doubt, it's a climatic divide. Is it a water divide? Does it divide the waters that is precipitated on Western Ghats? Yes, as east flowing rivers and west flowing rivers. Yes, this is the one that is subjugating it. Okay. Then what is it an example of? Western Ghat, is it a mountain? If it is not a mountain, it's a hill. Hill. What is the difference? When I cut this down, the most resistant part of it, whatever is remain and is going to take a long period of time to get eroded, that's a hill. Okay na? Mountain undergoes a building process. Definitely it's a building process. Now can I call Western Ghats to be a hill? Is it a product of erosion? Never. It is definitely not a product of erosion. Though erosion happens on it, but it is not a product of erosion. That's my point. Is there any mechanism have happened that has led to its increasing in elevation? No, it cannot be called as a mountain. Has it been a product of erosion? Definitely not. It is definitely a product of tectonic activity. Tectonic breakage ಆಗಿರೋಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೀಪ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಆ ಸ್ಟೀಪ್ ಫೇಸ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಲಾಜಿಕ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬಲಿ the structure of the Deccan Plateau, or this was the structure of the Deccan Plateau. Plateau andre something like this. Okay na? Let me clearly explain this. Please try to understand this. There are a lot of misconceptions here. Probably, or this was not there before. This was Africa. We got detached from Africa. So we have a new influence that there is marginal sea on this side. But because of that force of detachment, what happened? There was a very small fault line developed over here. Okay na? With the time, what has happened? With the time, what has happened? Probably when you were at this point of time, if you had have roamed the earth at this point of time, if you would have stood over here, would you feel Western Ghat is a mountain? Would you ever feel that Western Ghat is a mountain? Probably you will feel that this is a plain area, flat area. We were not there at that point of time, right? But what happened? We definitely know about it. We have deciphered that. What happened? This region got subducted. Now it is something like this. Now we can stand over here. What does it look like? It's an elevated lead. That's all. That's all is the logic. Correct alva? ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಕ್ಯೂರಿಯಾಸಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಹೌದು, ಮುಳ್ಳಯ್ಯನಗಿರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದೆ, ಐ ಸಿ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಹಿಲ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? series of mountains, not hills, I am so sorry, mountains of hills anta nodtivi. Also what we are forgetting, that since the formation of this region also would have been subjected to plentiful of erosion. Howda? You yourself have told me that this Western Ghat has acted as a water divide, correct alva? So there is clear cut water flowing on the east, clear cut water flowing on the west, isn't it? Don't you think so? River will erode. Don't you think so? River will start eroding it. So probably this is altogether now in different units, subcategories units. The valleys of which, or the parts which have been eroded, have been occupied by streams that originate. Do streams in Karnataka originate in Western Ghats? Name one peninsular river, or name, right, any river in Karnataka that has not, or that does not have its origin in Western Ghats, except in Nandidurga system. Ella allindane barodu. Do you understand this fact? So imagine the amount of erosion or subjugation or transformation that these units have undergone from that point of time. So that is why these variations bartave. But moral of the story, this steep size of the face has made this to be called as an escarpment. You can call this to be an escarpment. You can definitely not call this to be a mountain. That is not is the case. Okay na? So this has given some characteristic features. Western side alli tumba steep agirutte, eastern side alli tumba gradual ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Or what is the alignment? Alignment, what is the shape? This is the alignment, correct alva? What is this alignment called as? Northwest to southeast, correct? We have seen this. Coastal plains probably will be like this. Are you understanding this? Broad over here, very narrow over here. Did we speak about this a while ago? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Okay. Now will this Western Ghat, how is it beneficial to us? How is it this Western Ghat beneficial to us in terms of rainfall? Will it act as a orographic barrier to the incoming southwest monsoon? Yes. So that means it is a magnet that attracts rainfall, or that creates, that makes the process of precipitation conducive anta helabodu. Which part of Western Ghat can you expect higher amounts of rainfall? Western side or eastern side? Western side. Is western side called as the windward side? Howda? Correct alva? I hope so. You know how condensation, precipitation happens in case of orographic setup. Correct alva? That slope where the wind is incident, is it forced to rise? If the wind rises, what happens to it? It will be cooled down. With cooling down, there will be a dew point. That is, if the cooling happens till the dew point temperature, probably condensation will happen, and condensation will be followed by the next level of hydrological cycle, next step of hydrological cycle, that is precipitation. Can I say western side of the Western Ghat has higher precipitation? Now again, coming to a conceptual question, which part of Karnataka coastal or western side of the Western Ghats will get higher amounts of rainfall. Coastal Karnataka andre plains, coastal plains or western side of the Western Ghats. Can you expect higher amounts of rainfall? This is the problem when you rely on books and not on your understanding. It's very clear. That's why I have created a premise before. Orographic barrier procedure, wind should rise. Wherever the wind rise, alle alva precipitation. But there is a sense of adamancy nimge helakke. Correct alla? Ayyo, what if coastal plains alli irbodu anta? Coastal plains alli ellinda elevation sigutte nimage? Correct alva? But now ಓದಿರ್ತೀವಿ coastal plains alli high rainfall zone ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ throughout the year moisture ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. If I take annual rainfall into account, coastal rains will receive higher rainfall. There is no doubt about it. Correct alva? But western slope of the Western Ghats is definitely going to get the higher than this. No doubt coastal plains has high amount of rainfall, but higher than this is what you are going to get in western side of the Western Ghats. Mangaluru, Udupi, Karwara, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ coastal districts ಏನಿರ್ತವೆ, the capitals, their head administrative centers, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ will get at least 300, 250, 300, 350 centimeters of rainfall. But the western side of the Western Ghats, some parts of Kodagu, some parts of Shivamoga, you know where I am heading to, are the highest rainfall zones of Karnataka, correct alva? 800, 850 centimeter of rainfall. Are you understanding this? The highest rainfall elli? Karnatakadalli. Agumbe, Hulikal, ide logic. Are you understanding this? Once I move to the eastern side of the Western Ghats, what will happen? Eastern side of the Western Ghats, the wind now starts descending. Descending winds, what will happen? Is the temperature increasing or decreasing? Temperature of atmosphere alla wind. Will it increase or decrease, madam? Pakka. Decrease andre cool adangalva. Haudalva? As you move away from the surface of the earth, as you are rising, correct alva? You got meditation, you got enlightenment, and you are rising, you got that power. Let us say, 200 years later, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು religion start ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Now is that point of time, you have got that capability and you have that ability to ascend vertically. ಹಿಂಗೆ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಮೂವೀಸಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Now my question is, if you get that capability, what are you going to, how are you going to experience the temperature changes as you move from bottom to top? Correct alva? From top to bottom, you will change, you will experience an increase in temperature, correct madam? Is wind any different than you here? If it is ascending, what will happen? Temperature will decrease, dew point temperature reach maadu. If it is descending, what will happen? Temperature will increase, dew point temperature will not be reached. As a result of which rainfall decreases or increases? Asthedi. That's all is the case. Okay, na? Are you understanding this concept? So this is how we also are going to arrive at the rainfall regions of Karnataka. Okay, now talking about the peaks again, the tallest, since we are speaking about the Western Ghats, the tallest peak of Karnataka is Mullayanagiri peak, correct alva? How much is it? 1913. If you see the number 1930, it's fine. Correct alva? I don't think so. KPSC will ask you if they have this, go with 1913. Okay na? Second highest peak in Karnataka yavdu? Baba Budangiri. Third, followed by, I've told you all these things. Third, yavdu? Kudremukha. Fourth, Deviramanabet. Fifth, Rudragiri. Sixth, sir, Pushpagiri. Pushpagiri is in Kodagu. Top 5 are in Chikkamangaluru. The Pushpagiri ಎಷ್ಟು ಅದೇ ಸುಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣ್ಯ ಬೆಟ್ಟ ಅಂತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಅದೇ ಪುಷ್ಪಗಿರಿ. ಎಲಿವೇಶನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸರ್? 1714. ಓಕೆ, 1714, 1713. ಯಾವ ಲೆವೆಲಿಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ? ಸಿಕ್ಸ್ತ್ ಟಾಲೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೀಕ್ ಹೈಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. Are you from there? Then very good. I am not discouraging you, I am just surprised. Very good, really appreciate it. It's 1713. All right, 1714 ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ತಪ್ಪಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, that's fine. And since this is an elevated zone comparatively and has been subjected to plentiful of erosion, it will be of little bit difficulty that if you have to cross from the Maidan region and reach the coastal plains. For that, we have some passes, which are the passes that gives you a connectivity from the west or the east, whatever. If you are aware about some passes over here, sir. Shiradi Ghat connects between, imagine the following keltare. Please. Connects from which point to which point? Andre which district to which district? Shiradi Ghat. Sir. Shimoga to? Mangalore ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Sir, Mangalore ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? When? Assuming that that's not far, how did you go? Road transport, correct alva? From Bangalore or from Mandya, from Mysore? People, if I have to go to Mangalore from Bengaluru, what is the path that I should take? From here, I would go through Hasan. Hasan ಹೆಂಗಾದರೂ ಹೋಗಿ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಹೆಂಗಾದರೂ ಹೋಗಿ ರೈಟ್ ಹಾಸನ್ಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಹೌ ಡು ಯು ಗೋ ಟು ಮಂಗಳೂರು ಫ್ರಮ್ ಹಾಸನ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪಾಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಸಾಕಲೇಶ್ಪುರ ವಿಚ್ ಘಾಟ್ ಶಿರಾಡಿ ಘಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರಿಂದ ನೀವು ಮಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಚಾರ್ಮಡಿ ಘಾಟ್ ನೆನಪಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ನೋಡಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ passes and all the more it becomes important when we have new projects in the pipeline across this correct alva railway connectivity koskara kelsa ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ that is all the thing that you will definitely have to know about so you have to know about charmadi ghat connects between dakshina kannada and ಇವಾಗ ತಾನೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರು shiradi ghat connects between dakshina kannada and hasan are you aware about agumbe ghat sir connects shivamogga to tumkura Udupi, okay, very good. Then Hulikal Ghat, one of the high rainfall zones. Make a note of it if you don't know about it. Don't go unnecessarily find out about it. Hulikal Ghat gives you a connectivity between Shimoga and Udupi again. Add this, Hulikal, Shimoga and Udupi. Kollur Ghat, kelidira? Yes, Yelli. Hulikal, Shimoga, Udupi. Kollur Ghat gives you a connectivity between ಶಿರೂರ್ ಶಿರೂರ್ ಬೈಂದೂರ್ ಎಸ್ ಅದೇ ಉಡುಪಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ವ ಸರ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆಪ್ಷನಲ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಬೈ ಮೆಮೊರಿಯನ್ನು ಹೇಳು ಅಂತ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಬಿಸ್ಲೆ ಘಾಟ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಸ್ಲೆ ಘಾಟ್ ರೈಟ್ ಮಳೆ ಮಹದೇಶ್ವರ ಘಾಟ್ ಚಾಮರಾಜನಗರ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ರೋಡ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಎಸ್ ಬೈಂದೂರ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಸರ್ ಒಂದಿನ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿಗೆ ಏನೋ ಒಂಚೂರು ಚೂರು ಗ್ಯಾಪಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಂದುಬಿಡೋಣ ಬನ್ನಿ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚಾರ್ಮಡಿ ಘಾಟ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಬರೋಣ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಸೀನಿಕ್ ಟು ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಆನೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸರ್ ಮೈಸೂರಿಂದ ಮಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ನೈಟ್ ಹೊತ್ತು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ ಸೊ ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲಗಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ all right and one more category of the question that can be expected over here physiographically speaking economic category of questions andre nodi crops bagge kelabodu avella ide but physiographically speaking one another category of question since rivers on Malnad on western ghats are in which stage young stage one important characteristic feature of young stage of rivers is they form waterfalls correct alva yav waterfalls ಯಾವ ರಿವರ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮಿ ಜೋಗ್ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆನ್ ವಿಚ್ ರಿವರ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಪಕ್ಕಾ ಓಕೆ ದೂದ್ ಸಾಗರ್ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿನ ಅದು ಬಾರ್ಡ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರಿ ಓಕೆ ಯಾವ ರಿವರ್ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಉಂಚಾಳಿ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ Pakka? Okay. Any other famous falls that you know about? Gokak Falls? Malaprabha, na? Ghataprabha, Malaprabha alla. Okay, na? Okay. And if you have Kalasa waterfalls? Any other famous waterfalls? Magod waterfalls? See, it is very difficult for me to go through all these things again. Betti. ಅದೊಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡೋಣ ಅಂತ, ರೈಟ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ದಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್. ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇನ್ ದ ಯಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಬಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಐ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು ದ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಈಸ್ಟ್, ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟರ್? ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್? ಹಿಂಗಂದರೆ ಸ್ಟೀಪ್, ದ ಸ್ಲೋಪ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್. ಹಿಂಗಂದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದರೆ ಹೋದಂಗೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್, ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್, ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಹೈಯರ್ ಇರೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಕೇಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ? ಈಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಹೈಯರ್ ಇರೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಕೇಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಮೇಡಮ್, ನನಗೆ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ತೊಂದರೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಯು ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಸೊ. ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ಟನ್ನು ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ವೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಎನಿವೇಸ್, ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕಿ. ಸೊ if there is which of these rivers will have a tall possibility of a tall waterfalls, east or west? Matte again, are you understanding the base of all these answers, or base of all these questions is the slope. Slope is a major regulating factor. Which of these sides can you find rapids? Ade it's the same, all the answers are west. Are you understanding? Please understand this conceptual aspects and apply it, right? It should not be, you are by hearting it, or you're just manually taking down the information anta irbardu. All right, so let's talk about the last physiographic unit, the Maidan region. Maidan region basically is a flat plateau, featureless surface anta heltare, correct alva? And the regulating factor, limiting factor of this particular region, what you have to know, what you are supposed to know about it, is that it is one of the lowest rainfall zones of the state. Howda? Yake? Why is this one of the lowest or the least rainfall zones of Karnataka? Because number one, it is at a farther distance from the coast. Howda? Falls on the leeward side of the western Ghats. Correct alva? Rain shadowed interiors anta heltare idanna. Howda? If it is rain shadowed interiors, what can you expect? Higher amounts of rainfall or lower amounts of rainfall? Definitely lower amounts of rainfall. And to tell you in a nutshell, the reason why we have divided North Maidan region and South Maidan region is mainly on two parameters. One is climatic, one is geological. Climatic parameter ಏನು? North Maidan region is very dry. Correct alva? The most dominant precipitation season is southwest monsoonal precipitation season. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದರೆ ಬಂತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅಥವಾ ತುಂಬ ಒಂದು ವೆರಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನಿಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಯಿತು ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆಂಗಾಲಲ್ಲಿ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಳೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂತು. ಫಾರ್ ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪ್ಲೆಂಟಿ ಫುಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಒನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ಬೇರಿಂಗ್ ಸೀಸನ್. ಸೌತ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಸೀಸನ್ ಒಂದು, ಎರಡನೇದು ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಓವರ್ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನಿಕ್ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಪಿಟೇಷನ್. ಹೌದಾ? ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 10 ದಿನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಮಳೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನೇನು ಇದಲ್ಲ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಮೆಟ್ರಲಾಜಿ ಆನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್? ಕ್ಲೈಮೆಟಾಲಜಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ದಿಸ್. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 2 cyclonic prone zones, months in India. Which are they? ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ ನವಂಬರ್ ಒಂದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏಪ್ರಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಇರೋದು ನಾವು? ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್, ರೈಟ್? ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ಪೋನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಮೇ ಟು ಜೂನ್. ಸೊ ಏಪ್ರಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಮೋರ್ ಡೇಸ್ ಆರ್ ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್? ಸಾರಿ, ಜುಲೈ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸೋ ಸಾರಿ, ಜುಲೈ. ಒಂದು ಕಾಂಟ್ರವರ್ಸಿನೇ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದು, ಬಿಡಿ. ಜುಲೈ. ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಮೋರ್ ಡೇಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್? 3 months ಇದೆಯಾ? ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ? ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಆದರೂ ಇರಲಿ, ಸಫಿಷಿಯೆಂಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇದೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಏನು ಸರ್, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪೆಂಡ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಅವ್ರು ಟೈಮೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರು ಅವರು. ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಅಂತ. ಸರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬೀನ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್. ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ಅವ್ರು ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ರೈಟ್. ಅವರು ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ 3 months ago ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳೋದು ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಪಾಸ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಓಕೆನಾ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಎಸ್ ಏಪ್ರಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನಿಕ್ ಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಮ್ ಸರ್ಜಸ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ಕಾಲ್ ಬೈಸಾಕಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಒಡಿಶಾ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆಂಗಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಏನೋ ಈ ಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸೀಸನ್ನು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಲೋ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೇಬರಿಂಗ್ ಮಾರ್ಜಿನಲ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಡೀಸ್, ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ winds with moisture enters. And since we are a part of South Maidan region, we are a beneficiary to such amounts of rainfall. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಲೆಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಥರ ಶವರ್ಸ್ ಥರ ಬಂದು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಂದರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಅದೇ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುವಾಗ ಯಾರೋ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ಮಳೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತೆ. ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಬಂದು ಹಾಕೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Yes or no? You would get good amount of mangoes, that's all, but we'll have to eat them in our ACs and coolers. That's the problem, right? So this is very expected in these months. Okay, so point is the South Maidan region is having comparatively higher rainfall prospects than the North Maidan region. Howdalva? Climatologically e differences. Innond difference eno, geological difference eno, South Maidan region is a little elevated anta helaboda. That is in fact another reason why it gets a little higher rainfall. It is comparatively elevated than the North Maidan. If you can tell me the districts of South Maidan, please. Always have a political map. Districts of South Maidan, yavdu? Yes? Guess? Kolar, Chikbalapura, Bengaluru, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೈಸೂರು ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ದಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ವೇರ್ ವಿ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ, ಟು ದ ಸೌತ್ ಆಫ್ ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟರೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, ರೈಟ್. ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಟು ದ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಇಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಓಕೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿಸ್? ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮೀ ದ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟೂಸ್ ಎಸ್ ನೋಡಿ. ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಡೌಟ್ ಅ ಮೊನೋಟನಸ್, ಫೀಚರ್ಲೆಸ್, ಫ್ಲಾಟ್ ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಸ್ಲೈಟ್ಲಿ ಅಂಡ್ಯುಲೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೈಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಫೀಚರ್ಲೆಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಐಸೋಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಹಿಲ್ಸ್. ವೆನ್ ಅ ಫೀಚರ್ ಇಸ್ ಇರೋಡೆಡ್, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ವಿ ಸ್ಪೋಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್, ಇರೋಷನ್ ಆದರೆ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ಸ್, ರಾಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಹಾರ್ಡ್, ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ರೆಸಿಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಅ ಲಾಂಗರ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಇರೋಡೆಡ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ದರ್ ನೇಬರಿಂಗ್ ಝೋನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ನೇಬರಿಂಗ್ ಝೋನ್ಸ್ ಇರೋಡ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತವೆ, ಆ ರಾಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರನ್ನು ಆಸ್ ಅ ಹಿಲ್, ಐಸೋಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಹಿಲ್ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, ಬಟ್ ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಇನ್ ನಂಬರ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಹಿಲ್ಸ್, ಟೂರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್, ನಂದಿ ಹಿಲ್ಸ್, ನಂದಿದುರ್ಗ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ತುಮಕೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು. ಕೆನ್ ಯು ಗಿವ್ ಮಿ ಸಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್? ದೇವರಾಯದುರ್ಗ ತುಮಕೂರಲ್ಲಿ, ನಂದಿ ಹಿಲ್ಸ್, ನಂದಿ ಬೆಟ್ಟ, ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ನೇಚರ್? ಇನ್ ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ಬಿಳಿ ರಂಗಣ್ಣಗಿರಿ ಅಂತ, ಬಿಳಿ ರಂಗ, BR ಹಿಲ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಟೂರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸನ್ನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಹಿಲ್ ರೀಜನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ so prominent, some hill regions are so prominent that they serve as the points of origin of certain rivers. ರೇಡಿಯಲ್ ಡ್ರೈನೇಜ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್, ನಂದಿದುರ್ಗ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ರೇಡಿಯಲ್ ಡ್ರೈನೇಜ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನನ್ನು ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್, ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ಬಿಫೋರ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಒನ್ ಸಚ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್, ಒನ್ ಸಚ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ವೇರ್ rivers originate independently. Otherwise it's all western ghats, west agirli, east agirli, western ghat would be the point of origin. But again, right, Nandidurga system in the South Maidan region also will be home to some of the rivers, origin point of the rivers. Yav rivers? Arkavati, okay, goes to the Kaveri. Then Pinakini, Pennar, Ponnayar, right, Dakshina Pinakini, Uttara Pinakini anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಪೆನ್ನಾರ್, ತಮಿಳುನಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಪೊನ್ನಯಾರ್, ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ರೈಟ್, ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ರಿವರ್ ಇದು ಪೆನ್ನಾರ್, ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದ ಸದರ್ನ್ ಪೆನಿನ್ಸುಲಾ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಪ್ರಾಮಿನೆಂಟ್ ರಿವರ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಕಾವೇರಿ, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಗೋದಾವರಿ. Please understand this has a very important place, oil. Then what about soil? What about soil? Since we are speaking about these things, soil is a characteristic feature of the basement rock. Correct alva? And when we are discussing about different time zones, Azoic, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic, Neozoic, ella discuss ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಾಗ I told you, right, that Azoic, Karnataka's landmass has formed. Correct alva? If there is a basement rock formed in the Azoic era, and if it is eroded and soil is formed from it, what kind of soil will you get it? Red, because dominant constituent would be iron. Correct allo? Paleozoic formations bada kammi idave, bitbidi. Mesozoic eraದಲ್ಲಿ Cretaceous time ಅಲ್ಲಿ Karnataka or ಇಡೀ southern peninsula has been subjected to one geomorphic process called as fissure type of volcanic eruption. Volcano ಅಂದರೆ proper volcano ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ, fissure type of eruption ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Fissure type of eruption ಅಂದರೆ small randomly open cracks ಇದ್ದರೆ ಆ ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ಮಾ ಲಾವಾ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ. Question, first of all, question that needs to be addressed is, why are these cracks formed? Remember, we broke away from Africaಗೂ ನಮಗೂ ಬ್ರೇಕಪ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು at that point of time. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಯು ನೋ, ಬ್ರೇಕಪ್ ಆದರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? The heart gets crushed, the rock gets crushed over here. The rock has been cracked. Correct alva? Right? So that is how it is, probably. Dramatic way ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ so that you remember, right? But whatever might be the case, so these cracks, randomly open cracks, had the thing, you know, the magma that is sourced from very deep inside. Okay, na? Very deep inside. Because if it is a rock, if it is a magma that is sourced from shallow regions, it cannot come out of the surface. Understand this. It needs a proper opening. A proper opening idre magma from shallow areas adrinda horagade barbodu, because there is a clear cut channel. If there is fissures, small randomly open cracks, shallow region inda magma horagade barakagalla. Yakandre shallow regions alli irtakanta ondu magma na viscosity tumba jaasti irutte. You know what is viscosity? I hope so. Viscosity is the resistance that is offered to liquids. Correct alva? If resistance is high, it cannot come outside. It needs a clear cut passage. And definitely magma that is sourced from very deep inside the earth, that will have lesser viscosity, so that can make its way ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ that in these randomly open cracks or fissures, magma sourced from deep inside the earth has come out. Correct alva? The reason why I am telling you this is because what is its composition anta ನಮಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಬೇಕು. Composition of this magma ಏನಿರಬಹುದು? Heavier minerals or lighter minerals? If it is sourced from shallow regions, lighter minerals. If it is sourced from deep inside, heavier minerals. Okay na? Okay. And tell me, answer this. Heavier minerals or lighter minerals, which of these will have dark appearance? Heavier minerals will always have a darker appearance. So illi, from deep inside, magma, if it has made its way to the surface, correct alla, from this randomly opened cracks, heavier minerals have been placed. Howda? And since this magma that has come to the surface has lesser viscosity, it can spread. Like water. Like water and oil. Oil does not spread because oil has higher viscosity. Water can flow. If its slope is provided, it can flow. Correct alva? Are you understanding this? So this magma source from deep inside has spread over this particular plateau, which we call it as the Deccan Plateau anta karitivi. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಡೆಕ್ಕನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏಜೋಯಿಕ್ ರಾಕ್ ಬೇಸ್ ಇತ್ತು ಮುಂಚೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಲೇಯರ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಾಲಿಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರೀಸ್ ಇವು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಫಂಡಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಏಜೋಯಿಕ್ ರಾಕ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೇನು ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದು? ಅಯ್ಯನೂರು, ಧಾರವಾಡ, ಬಳ್ಳಾರಿ, ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ, ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರು, ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀವಿ? ಐರನ್ ಓರ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗ್ನೀಸ್ ಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಉಳಿದಿದ್ದ ಜಾಗಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಡೌಟ್ ಏಜೋಯಿಕ್ ಬೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಬಟ್ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಈ ಸೆನೋಜೋಯಿಕ್ ಫಿಶರ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಇರಪ್ಷನ್ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕವರ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಸೊ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ದೋಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಆಲ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್, ಪ್ಲಾಟು, ಡೆಕ್ಕನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕಲರ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ರಾಕ್? ಡಾರ್ಕ್. ಅದರಿಂದ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಕಲರ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿ ಲೈಟರ್? ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಡಾರ್ಕ್. ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್? Do you understand this? The regions that are exposed will have red soil and yellow soil. That is highest in number. And there are some regions in Karnataka where this covering has happened. And in such regions, what do you get? Black soil. Artha agta idea? This is the thing. Okay. And naturally, what kind of crops can you grow? In this Maidan, Maidan, North Maidan, South Maidan region, yav crops? Talking about crop cultivation, Can I say it is directly dependent upon the amount of rainfall or the type of farming that you are practicing, rain-fed or irrigated? Irrigated idre more or less you can grow many crops. There are many options if you have that higher rainfall or higher irrigation prospects. But since this Karnataka, part of Karnataka, North Maidan and South Maidan is a beneficiary of comparatively lesser rainfall, we have limited number of crops. What is that? North Maidanದಲ್ಲಿ all the category of oil seeds, millets, those crops that favorably grow in less amount of soil moisture is preferable. Howda? Illandre, if I am considering that it is rain-fed agriculture, please don't forget this. Rain-fed ಅಂದರೆ ಮಳೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಕೆನಾಲ್ ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ವೆಲ್ ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್, ಯಾವುದೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್, ಒಂದು ವಾಟರ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಅಪಾನ್ rainfall that happens in a season, particular season, June to September, October, correct alva? If I have to depend on that, I will go for oil seed or a cereal. North alli jowar is cultivated. Some of the oil seeds are cultivated in abundance, and there is a third option also, pulses, dals, different types of dals. All these are, requiring comparatively less amount of water. But since we have the prospect of black soil has the potential of retaining soil moisture, correct, or in abundance. There is an additional excellent crop, commercial crop that you can grow provided there is a little bit of irrigation. Yavudadu? Cotton. Historical times ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು. ಈ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ? Raw materials mostly. ಏನೇನೋ ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ವೆಲ್ತ್, ದುಡ್ಡು ಅವೆಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ in the form of raw materials, correct alva? And the raw materials that they can take from here, extract, process and get back and dump it in our markets at a cheap way, but sell it at a higher margins, correct alva? Textile products are one of the most important, correct alva? Yes, ಯಾವುದೇ ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇರಲಿ, correct alva? Textiles or fabrics or this is a very important feature. It's the base of industries anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Industries have begun from, the industrial revolutions have started from cotton. Understand this, textile, not only cotton, textile or ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ, right? Because there is forever a demand for it. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ sir? Correct alva? Until unless some revolutionary change happens, this is going to be the same case. So can I also cultivate sugarcane? Yes, North Maidan region ಅಲ್ಲಿ sugarcane cultivate ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಯಾಕೆ? ಬೆನಿಫಿಷರಿ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಆರ್ ಬೆನಿಫಿಷರೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್. ಈ ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಫೋಕಸನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾವುದದು? ಯಾವ ನದೀಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾವ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್? ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಗೋದಾವರಿ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಓವರ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್, ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಟ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಫಿಸಿಯೋಗ್ರಫಿ. Factual based questions will be there, but yes, if your analytical power is strong, right, if your intrinsic understanding is strong, you can still fare well over there. Proceeding with the climate of Karnataka. Climate of Karnataka. Yes, of course. Cotton requires water but not rain anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. That's true. That's the reason I told you there is a plentiful of irrigation potential that has developed in a low rainfall zone, sir. You are right. Okay. All right, let's proceed further. First of all, let's try to understand this. The Karnataka's climate is regulated or influenced by some of the factors. Is there a relationship between physiography and climate? Absolutely. Right? The physiographic feature, the physiography of Karnataka is influencing its climate. Yes or no? True or false? Yes, because of the presence of Western Ghats, you know how rainfall patterns can be changed, isn't it? Because of the presence of elevated features, you know how how the, the rainfall pattern again it can be changed. So no doubt physiographic feature is one. Second aspect would be its geolocation. Correct, Alva? And let me, before this proceeding any further, I'm so sorry, forgot about this. Climatology, understand this, to analyze climate, there are always three variables that you'll have to consider. Please follow this particular approach. You will see yourself making very less mistakes in climatology. Let it be Indian climate, world climate, or climate of Karnataka. There are three fundamental elements of weather and climate. That would be number one, temperature. Temperature, pressure, and moisture. Right? Of these, the most important parameter, I cannot say this is less important or more important, but the most dominant factor here would be temperature, the source of which is the incoming solar radiation. Haudalva? The reason why I say it is one of the dominant most factors because it is temperature that directly, maybe or indirectly, will be regulating the other two. In fact, temperature and pressure, these two parameters play a role in regulating the moisture distribution of a particular place. So, we'll have to be very, very specific about the analysis of all these three parameters. All right. So, there is physiography, geographical location, right? The latitudes that we are situated in, 11 degree, how much? Correct, Alva? What might be the case? 11 to 14, 11 to 18 is a latitude north, Alva? 11 to 18 degree north is a latitudinal extension that falls under which belt? Tropical belt. Subtropical is beyond 30. Artha madkoli, beyond 23 and have to be very specific. Okay. So, being in the tropical belt, can I say Karnataka is a beneficiary to one of the highest insolations, incoming solar radiation? Yes, and we will have plentiful of climatic diversity with that. Okay. Do you think we get influence from the marginal water bodies around us? How the? Mostly the marginal water bodies have a moderating influence to play. They do not let regions get cooled too much or get hot too much. Correct, Alva? Right? Maritime type of climate andre, those territories, those regions that are situated in close proximity to the marginal water bodies will always have a moderating climate. Moderate climate andre, it will be nothing extreme. If you are moving away from these marginal water bodies, let us say you are moving into North Indian plains. Let us say you are moving into North India. What is the extremity? What is the climate? Do you find climatic extremity in these places? Winters are very, very cold. At the same time, summers will be very hot. Do we have such a situation here? Thank you. Do we have such a situation here? In Karnataka, are the summers very hot and the winters very cool? Yes, we have. But only in places which are very far away from the sea. That would be North Maidan region. Correct, Alva? But it is not as extreme as North Plains. Correct, Alva? No, I mean North Indian plains. There is very extreme. Correct, Alva? Deaths agutte heat in the heat wave situation anta kelidira, right? That will be the norm. North Karnatakadallu agutta agle ಏನು ಬಂತು because of the heat. Okay, yes, of course, right? That would be the characteristic feature of an and continental type of climate anta helteve. You will find this type of climates in the continental interiors, but the more you are closer to the sea, the moderate the climate would be. We have both the examples as I have told you already. And what is the other influences? Can I say it is the monsoonal winds that are also playing a role here? Yes, monsoons, both southwest and northeast monsoons play a role over here, right? So these are some of the influences, right? Understand this. Yes, and since we don't have a lot of analysis to do related to temperature, pressure and moisture, we will directly step into the seasons of Karnataka. I say the seasons associated with the information of rainfall is the most important topic you'll ever have to study in your preparation. Everything is regulated with this. Demography agirli, economic prospects agirli, social prospects agirli, even to a certain extent political prospects agirli is directly shaped by these things at the head. How many seasons do we have? 4. Generally, otherwise also there are 4 seasons, but Karnataka being largely in the tropical belt, being largely monsoonal in nature, will have 4 seasons. Which are they? Summer, followed by winter salla, followed by southwest monsoon season. Correct alva? Followed by the northeast monsoon season. Then winters. Again we are back to summers. This is how we have divided. If you can tell me the months exactly. If you can tell me the months. Yes. Summer is from March to May. All right, taken. Then southwest monsoonal season. March to May. June to September. October, November. Correct alva? December to 12 months agoitalva. Okay. Individual characteristic features is what we'll talk about. Summer characteristic features eno? Summer characteristic features. Or before that, let me tell you. (23.5) north, 23.5 south. What are these called as? Tropic of and Tropic of Capricorn. Correct alva? Why have we? Is there any mark on the earth or what is that? We have just randomly, it's an imaginary line. Okay, pakka, I'm glad that you know that. It's an imaginary line. Why have we drawn such an imaginary line? Based on the movements of the sun. Sun is not moving anywhere, sir. In relation to the sun, the earth is moving. I know, you have to be specific. It's definitely not with that, what you say. It's with respect to the actual tilt. Earth on the platform or the vertical, or sorry, the horizontal plane that is revolving around the sun is not perfectly aligned. Gottalva? It makes an actual tilt anta heltivi. That angles will be such that the vertical degree, the vertical or the most powerful sun ray that falls very perpendicular sun ray anta helana. The perpendicular ray of insolation will fall, right, always between these latitudes only. Correct alva? The 90-degree angle of sun rays. Yenidu, what is the importance of this 90-degree angle of sun rays? It's the most powerful ray. Andre, it will bring per unit energy is the highest over here. Whichever region that this ray falls on will get the maximum insolation. Are you understanding this? With the season, this will change. On 21st of July, sorry, 21st of June. Can I say this direct sun ray is falling over the Tropic of Cancer. That is the maximum extent that it can go north. Correct alva? As you proceed from June, July, August, September, let us say you are reaching September, 23rd of September. Some books may give you some different number, it's all right. Can I say this direct angle of sun rays is exactly vertical over equator? What do we call this? Equinox. To be very specific, autumnal equinox. Then September, October, November, December, 22nd or 23rd, doesn't matter, sir. No one is going to ask, see, equinox actually happens on March 20, March 21st anta tagontivi. That's fine, right? Can I say this is exactly vertical over Tropic of Cancer? Haudalva? Then again 3 months, December, January, February, March, 20th March or 21st of the March, it will be back here again. Howda? 21st. And again 3 months down the line, where will it be? April, May, June, 21st of June, it will be back. So can I say this angle of sun, this 90-degree perpendicular sun ray is constantly moving with time. Helboda? Andre with position of the sun, with position of the earth with respect to the sun. Helbodalva? So that what creates these seasons actually. If that vertical angle of sun ray is in this northern hemisphere, correct alva? What is northern hemisphere experiencing? Summer. And if it is in southern hemisphere, it's winter. And the interplay, the transition in between gets us, this monsoons also. It's a regulation of temperature, pressure. It's regulator of the winds anta helabodu. Correct alva? And also what we want to understand apart from this particular topic, I want you to understand the wind pattern. 0 degrees generally is home to which pressure? Low pressure. 30 anta tagontini for rounding it off. 30 degree north, 30 degree south. What is the pressure profile here? This is what we call it as subtropical high. Correct alva? Subtropical high pressure anta kariteve. Wind always moves from a region of low pressure to high pressure, is it? Wind always moves from a region of high pressure to, madam, wherever it moves. Wind always moves from a region of excess region to a deficit region. The reason why you have a confusion regarding it is you don't know the concept of pressure. Pressure, let me tell you, is nothing but the weight exerted by the mass of air. The weight exerted by the mass of air. So if the weight exerted by the mass of air is high pressure andre, there is more air here. Artha agta idya? If the mass of air exerting less amount of weight, that would be called as a low pressure. So how can it be? How can a wind or how can this movement happen from a zone of deficit to zone of surplus? Can it happen in that way? It should always happen from a zone of surplus to zone of deficit. Higher mass, higher composition of atmosphere is here. From high to always low. Please try to understand this. Okay. Winds always move from a region of high pressure to low pressure. High pressure to low pressure. Correct alva? But there is something else called as coreless deflection impacting it. Correct? If a free flowing object, free flowing body is capable of traveling multiple latitudes, it is subjected to coreless deflection. And can someone tell me what is the nature of this coreless deflection? Coreless deflection in the northern hemisphere is always towards right. This is the right. And in the southern hemisphere it will always be towards. Are you understanding this? So this is the direction of the winds. Please remember this, because this is going to help us in understanding if the winds are onshore or offshore. Correct alva? If the winds are moving from a marginal water body towards the land, we call it as onshore. If the winds are from the landmass to the water body, offshore. Can you tell me which of these winds will bring rainfall? Onshore. Offshore winds, there is a tendency to induce dryness. Correct alva? Okay. So ade southwest monsoonal season alli enagutte, winds are onshore, and winds are always named after the region that they originate. Correct alva? Ee wind anna enanta karitare? North east trade winds anta karitare. North east easterlies antanu karibodu. Generally they are called as trade winds. Correct alva? Northeast enakandre they are originating from northeast and flowing towards southwest. So winds are always named from the region where they originate. Ee winds anna enanta karitare? South east easterlies, because it appears that it is coming from which zone? It's originating from southeastern direction, flowing towards northwestern direction. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? Right? So winds are always. So southwest monsoon andre what that is a precipitation bearing season, major precipitation bearing season of Karnataka. ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಿರೋದು winds? Southwest ಇಂದ. Correct alva? Southwest. If this is the India's land mass, this direction is southwestern direction, isn't it? Correct alva? Hence we call this as a southwest monsoon. Winds are always named of that region, after the region that they originate. Please try to understand this. Okay na? So let's discuss about the season. Number 1, summer season of Karnataka. Please tell me the peculiarities. The summer season of Karnataka. The summer season of Karnataka, when can you experience this? March to May. The reason is, in this March to May, where is the direct sun ray? Thermal equator antanu karibodu adanna. Thermal equator antanu karitare, the direct perpendicular angle of sun ray. There are different names for it. Where is it? March ಆದಮೇಲೆ it goes north, correct alva? March, April, May, June, isn't it? ಮತ್ತೆ ಜೂನ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ? ಜೂನು ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? If I say summer season has 4 months, ಜೂನ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ? ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ಟು ಮೇ ಯಾಕೆ? ಜೂನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲ್ವಾ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ಸು? ಜೂನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೌತ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ವಿಂಡ್ಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಂದುಬಿಡ್ತವೆ. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸಿ ಆಫ್ ಕೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಡೌನ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಆ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಜನರಲಿ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಎನಿವೇಸ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮಿ, March to May, any other characteristic feature that you can experience over here? Can I say it is mainly due to the shifting of thermal equator to the north? Okay. Overall, which parts of Karnataka will have a very high temperatures? Can I say those parts of Karnataka that are very far away from? The more far away from marginal water body, the hotter it becomes. Highest temperature ಎಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ರಾಯಚೂರು. ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ, ಸಮ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ರಿಲೀಸ್ಡ್, ಹಾಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಹಾಂ, ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಹಾಂ, ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಬಿಹಾರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೀಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದೋಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸದರ್ನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಸದರ್ನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಒನ್ ಇನ್ ಕಲಬುರ್ಗಿ. Kalburgi has recorded that 42, 43 temperatures ಈ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ. ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಟು ಕಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನಿಯರ್ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಆಂಧ್ರ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು ಮಹಾ ದೂರ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಅನಂತಪುರ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್. ಕ್ಲೈಮೆಟಾಲಜಿಕಲಿ ಸ್ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ 100 to 100 kilometers ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಕರ್ನೂಲು, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಕ್ಲಾಕಿಂಗ್ 40+ degrees of temperature. ಅಂದರೆ you can predict this story in the coming months ಏನಾಗೋದು ಅಂತ. It's very difficult. Are you understanding this? This is all because of humidity. Humidity should be higher or lower? Humidity is higher or lower? Remove that misconception. Humidity ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಹೀಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. That is not true. Humidity ಎಷ್ಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾಡರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲುಯೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Though it might be uneasy, ಬಟ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕ್ರಾಸ್ 40. ಮಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ 40 ದಾಟಲ್ಲ ಜನರಲಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ. ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ಅಂತೂ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 35, 36 ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ಥ್ರೂಔಟ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಡಿಟಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ವಾಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಅ ಮಾಡರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್. ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಹೀಟೆಡ್ ಅಪ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟರ್, ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಕೂಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಬೋತ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಅ ಮಾಡರೇಟ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ದರ್ ಯು ಮೂವ್ ಅವೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಮಾರ್ಜಿನಲ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಡೀಸ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿರೋದು ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಮಾಯಿಶ್ಚರ್, ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಡಿಟಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋದು. ವೆನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಡಿಟಿ ಈಸ್ ಲೆಸರ್, ದ ಅಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಕೂಲ್ಡ್ ವೆರಿ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಹೀಟೆಡ್ ಅಪ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವೆರಿ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈ ಸೀಸನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ದೆನ್ ಒನ್ ಫಿನಾಮಿನಾ, ಎನಿ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸೀಸನ್? ಎನಿ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸೀಸನ್? ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಡಿಟಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಹೈಯರ್. ಸೊ ನೋ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಸೌತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮಿಡಿಟಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು, ಅದೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅಂದರೆ 40+ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ರೈಟ್? ಬಟ್ ಮಲ್ನಾಡ್ region and coastal regions will have a little bit of higher humidity, there is no doubt about it. Which region will receive rainfall in this season? ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಚೆರಿ ಬ್ಲಾಸಮ್ಸ್, ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಶವರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಎಸ್, that happens over here. And the logic ಏನು? The land mass gets heated up so much, right, that a very intense low pressure is developed. Heat ಆದರೆ ಯಾವ pressure? Low pressure. Heat ಆದರೆ, understand, the gas expands. If the gas expands, volume expands, volume increases, correct alva? If the volume increases, what will happen to the total weight? What will happen to the total weight exerted? Decreases. Pressure will become low. Wind always moves from a region of neighboring mass of water is at a high pressure than compared to the neighboring land mass. So what will happen? There will be winds, moisture carrying winds odagade barutte, and because of that heating, if there is a low pressure at that point, what will happen? Will you expect a rising convection or a subsiding convection? Pakka, because winds are lighter, ashtond weight illa, lighter wind, lighter air mass will always rise. And if this air mass is rising, what will happen? Will it be subjected to condensation? I told you, cooling down. This is another type of rainfall that you can expect. Orographic, that is forced rise. Illi, temperature related rise. Correct alva? Will it be subjected to condensation? Yes. Will it be subjected to precipitation? Ivella correct ಆಗಾದರೆ ಒಂದು ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಶವರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರೀ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಶವರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಇದನ್ನು. ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಚೆರಿ ಬ್ಲಾಸಮ್, ನಂದ ಒನ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಶವರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟೋಟಲಿ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಈ ಕ್ವೆಶನು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೋಟಲ್ rainfall that Karnataka receives is in summer? 7%. Which regions receives higher amount of rainfall? ಹೇಳಿ. Yes, coffee, mango regions, coffee regions, ಅದರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ಬೆನಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಇದು. ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಎಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಅದು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಪಕ್ಕ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿಸ್ is because of intense rising convection, because of intense heating, air masses tend to rise rapidly, very abruptly. ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? A phenomena that you can see in these months, April agli, May agli, in some parts of Karnataka you can experience hailstorms. Gottidya, what is it? Hailstorms andre? Yen madam? You must have seen it, correct alva? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ? Yeah, pakka. No doubt about it. If the heating is so intense, ಏನಾಗುತ್ತಂದರೆ ಈ air mass would rise very rapidly, abruptly, and it will be subjected to cooling down, condensation ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, clouds ಅಲ್ಲಿ condensation ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, and precipitation ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. But the amount of droplets that fall down in precipitation will be tiny. But since what is happening, what is continuing, that rapid rise of air mass is still continuing, that droplets ಅನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನಃ ವಾಪಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. Again, one more droplet over it would form, one more ice crystal over it would form. Again it will come back, again it go back. This cycle repeats multiple times until that ball of ice is heavy enough to fall down, and it will fall down. You know how is it? Nodi, next time if you see or if you experience a hailstorm, please definitely do not go out. It's dangerous. Density tumba high irutte. I mean the density is high alla, ice density kadme irutte, but the weight will be very high, so it might create problems, especially if you are in hilly regions and this happens. Okay, Bengaluru bilodu ishteste, but ನಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಂಗ್ಳೂರು ಕಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ the size of the thing is very dominant. ಅವೆಲ್ಲ the roof ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ, ಅದು ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಮೇಡ್ ಟೈಲ್ಸ್, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಒಡೆದೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಬಟ್ if you get a chance to see, the point is if you get a chance to see them, right, see it, observe it, you will clearly find that pattern whatever I have told you. Concentric circles, layers ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. That means how many layers you find, ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸತಿ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. That is the logic behind it. ಓಕೆನಾ? ರೈಟ್, thunderstorms ಬರ್ಬೋದು. When air mass is rising rapidly, what happens? Disturbances, atmospheric disturbances gets created. All these ನೋಡಿ ವಿಂಟರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ವಿಂಟರ್ಸ್ is a zone, is a season wherein you have deficit energy. ಸನ್ರೈಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಎನರ್ಜಿ, ಹೀಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸಮರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಟ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ. Energy, you know, cannot be created, cannot be destroyed. Howda? Neither be created nor be destroyed, but from one form to another it can be converted. So energy will look for ways to dissipate or to transform itself. And when do we have the highest of the highest energy? Summer season alli atmospheric disturbance ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Summers ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, it would be windy usually. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಡೌನ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಫೀಲ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ದೇವರು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ರೈಟ್? ಎಸ್, ದೇವರೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ವಿಂಟರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಡೂ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ವಿಂಡ್ಸ್? ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಎನರ್ಜಿ, ಓವರಾಲ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೆಸ್. ಆ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. Please try to understand this. It's all the concept of energy. Energy is too high in the summer season, as a result of which you will get so plentiful of disturbances. Okay. Then southwest monsoon season. Southwest monsoon season. Southwest monsoon season alli ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? What, first of all, what changes is the month June to September. June to September, what is happening? That thermal equator is shifting back down south. Correct alva? It is shifting back down south. Let me tell you one thing. Nodi, to understand this, let me draw a map of India. An indicative map of India. Seems like the India map. What happens is this shape, the shape of Indian subcontinent, facilitates monsoon to us. Let me justify it. How? Can I say this would be the Tropic of Cancer? Howda? Is it the Tropic of Cancer? Passes through Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Mizoram, Tripura. Howda? These are the states where it transforms. So what is happening? The direct sun ray, which had shifted to the north maximum on 21st of June, now it has to retract back. So it is on its way back. Please try to understand this. Mostly this high temperature locations is actually regulated by the shape, not by the latitude. What do I mean by this, Andre? If there is insolation, higher amount of insolation on this latitude, whichever latitude this might be, can you say that this water will also get heated up to the same extent as that of this landmass? Is that possible? Definitely it will be different. Where can we expect the highest temperature really? On water, on landmass? Aste. That's the logic. You got it. The pattern of intertropical convergence zone or that thermal equator will not be linear. Will follow this pattern, such that the lowest pressure developed is over here. Artha agta idea? This is the point where two winds, the one that I have discussed over here, the meeting point, will this meeting point change? Yes. If the thermal equator shift to the north, this all set will move to the north. If it shift to the south, the entire set is going to shift to the south, isn't it? Please apply that. Please apply that. This is happening over here. The same thing. Technically, these winds are supposed to meet over here. Correct alva? Where is the equator? The equator is somewhere down here. Equator does not pass through India. Correct alva? Technically, on equinox, it is meeting over equator, isn't it? Haudalva? But what happens in June? It is totally far away from the equator. But this winds, which is coming from down south, will cross the geographical equator. These winds coming from the north will end over here. This is the one that is crossing geographical north. But now can you tell me how is the Coriolis force will act? Southern hemisphere only left, madam. Correct alva? But when these winds have come, now see they have crossed the equator. When they have crossed the equator, where are they supposed to deflect? How are they supposed to deflect? In the northern hemisphere it is towards, where is their right? Is there their right? Now they become, which direction is this? South west. And where do they end? They go here. This is the last point. And that's how they cause rainfall in all the parts of India, this parts of India. Kashmir barala. Himachal Pradesh datalla, ee monsoons. Are you understanding this? The same thing when this is shifting July, August, September gil bandirutte, correct alva? Now this wind technically will come till here. Because of the shape illi, these winds will cause some amount of rainfall, which we call it as northeast. That happens after September, October, November. That's the next monsoonal season. No doubt, these are the major precipitation bearing. Karnataka somewhere over here. Illirodu ee wind salpa maleyil tagombarutte. That's why I told you, South Maidan region will receive a little bit of higher rainfall, no doubt about it. Okay. Then, how much do you think so? Since this since this southwest monsoonal region is the major precipitation bearing season, so let me talk about how much is the amount of rainfall that is received here. If you can tell me, how much is the amount? Which part of Karnataka receives how much amount of rainfall? Yes. Coastal regional ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ಬೋದು? Before that, are you aware about what is the meaning of monsoon? Monsoon ಅಂದ್ರೆ mechanism, but what is actually happening here? ಈ simple basic question ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Movement of winds ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ movement of winds? Movement of wind reverse ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Seasonal reversal with the season. Correct alವಾ? That is the meaning of it. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಸರ್? ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಈ 3 ರಿಂದ 4 ತಿಂಗಳೊಳಗಡೆ 70 ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ 70 ಗ್ರೇಟರ್ ದೆನ್ 70% ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಆದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅದೊಂದು ಮಾನ್ಸೂನಲ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನಲ್ ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ನಮಗೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಗೆ ಈ 3 ರಿಂದ 4 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಬರೋದು. ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ನೆಗ್ಲಿಜಿಬಲ್, cyclone also negligible, cyclonic rainfall also negligible, otherwise ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ precipitation ಆಗಲಿ it's all negligible in comparison to southwest monsoon. So this is the major precipitation bearing season and most of the rainfall that Karnataka receives is in this category. Coastal region will receive approximately 250 centimeters of rainfall. Malnad region will receive approximately 100 centimeters of rainfall. Correct alva? And North Maidan esto 40, South Maidan 60, ಈ ರೇಂಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬರಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆನಾ? Are you understanding this? So naturally, and also I would like to tell you the cropping pattern. What are kharif crops? Have you ever heard about such a thing? Kharif crops. ಈ ಸಮ್ಮರ್ ಸೀಸನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಏನು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಸಮ್ಮರ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಝೈದ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ವಾಟರ್ ಮೆಲನ್, ಕ್ಯುಕುಂಬರ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. And as soon as monsoon is expected, we plant some other crops. Those are the crops. During the onset of the monsoon, crop ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕ್ರಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಖರೀಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಖರೀಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು. ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಖರೀಫ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್, all those crops that require high amount of water. Paddy, rice. ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಓಕೆ. Then let's move on to the northeastern monsoon season. ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್? ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು? ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ ನವಂಬರಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಟ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು. ಯಾಕೆ? ಡು ಯು ಸಿ ದಿಸ್? ಹೌ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್, ಸೌತ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಆನ್ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ವೆನ್ ದ ITCZ ಇಸ್ ರಿಟ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇದನ್ನು ರಿಟ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಹೇಳಿ. ಎಸ್, ವೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್? Which part of Karnataka, the 4 divisions, North Maidan, South Maidan, Malnad, coastal plains, of these 4 divisions, which region receives highest amount of rainfall in northwest monsoonal category? ಯಾವುದು? ಪಕ್ಕ ಅದೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಈ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತೀನಿ. Are you understanding? Second least or second highest? Malnad. ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್. ಓವರಾಲ್ ಮಲೆನಾಡು ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ 800 900 ಆಗೋದು. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಹೈಯರ್. ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್. ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲೂ ಒಂದು 30 ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಮಳೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಂತಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನಿಗೆ ಒಂದು 15-20 ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ಗಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಳೆ ಬರೋದು. ಐ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್? ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಸೌತ್ ವೆಸ್ಟಲ್ಲೂ ಪಾಪ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ಓವರಾಲ್ ಲೆಸ್ ದೆನ್ 60 ಸೆಂಟಿಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲೆ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ರೀಜನ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ನೋ ಡ್ರೈ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್. ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ರೀಜನಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅಪ್ಪರ್ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಪ್ಪರ್ ಭದ್ರಾ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಆಗಲಿ, ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸು ವೆಸ್ಟಿಂದ ಈಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ರಿವರ್ಸನ್ನು ಡೈವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ವಿ ಆರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್. ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ, ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಝೋನ್? ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಯಾವ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್, ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್? ಪಕ್ಕಾ ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೋರ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್, ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ವೆರಾಸ್ ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಟ್ ಆಲ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? October, November ಅಲ್ಲಿ which was the cyclone that we have experienced on the east coast? ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು 2 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಓದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್. ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಜಾಗ್ರಫಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟೂ ಮಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ವರ್ಕ್ ಲೋಡ್, ಬಟ್ ಎಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ರೂಷಿಯಲ್, ರೈಟ್? ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಅದೇ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಪಾಪ ತೋರ್ಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಳೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ತೋರಿಸಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಯುವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ, ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಹಾಂ, ಬರೀ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ? ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ನಾರ್ತ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ದ ಶೇಪ್. ಈ ಶೇಪ್, ಡು ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್? ಹಾಂ, ಅಷ್ಟೇನಾ ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು? ಯಾವ ಲೈನು? ITCZ ಲೈನ್. ಓಕೆ. ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ ನವಂಬರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ITCZ? ಹಾಂ, ಕೆಳಗೆ ಹೋಯ್ತು, ಜಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಕ್ವೇಟರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಈಕ್ವೇಟರ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಈಕ್ವೇಟರ್. ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಯ್ತು. ಯಾಕೆ ITCZ ನಮಗೆ? ಮರ ಯಾಕೆ, ಗಿಡ ಯಾಕೆ? ಹಾಂ, ಈ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್. ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಸರ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡ್ರಾನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್, ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್? ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್. ಸೌತ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಫೈ ಆಗಿದ್ದು 3-4 ತಿಂಗಳು ಮಾಡಿಫೈ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ರೀಸೆಟ್ ಬಟನ್. ಅಗೇನ್ ಇಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ರೀಸೆಟ್. ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ರೀಸೆಟ್ ಇದನ್ನು ವಾಪಸ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದುಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ವೈ ಇಡೀ ವರ್ಷ ಯಾಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಇಡೀ ವರ್ಷ ಲೋ ಪ್ರೆಷರ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಹೀಟ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ವೆನ್ ಹೀಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಐ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್? ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ರೀಸನ್. ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ದಿಸ್. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೋರೋಮಂಡಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್ ಕೋರೋಮಂಡಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್. ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್, ನಾಟ್ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಬೆನಿಫಿಷರಿ ಟು ದಿಸ್. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಇಂಟೀರಿಯರ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡುಗೆ ಈ ಮಳೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್. ಇಫ್ ದ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನರ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಈಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್, ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು is a beneficiary of northwest monsoon. Not true. Not all parts of Tamil Nadu will get this. Coast, yes, 100%. Coromandel coast, ಆ ಓವರ್ಲ್ಯಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ಬರೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್. ದಿಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್. 300-200 ಏನಾದರೂ ಹೇಳಿದಿನಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ, 30-40. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್. ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಲೆಸ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಶೇಪ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸಮ್ ಮಾಯಿಶ್ಚರ್ ಏನು ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಬಾಂಗ್ಲಾದೇಶಿಂದ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಈ ನ್ಯಾರೋ ಮಾರ್ಜಿನಲ್ ಏನು ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಇಫ್ ದ ವಿಂಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಓವರ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಸ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಮಾಯಿಶ್ಚರ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ಈ ವಿಂಡ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಬೇ ಆಫ್ ಬೆಂಗಾಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಬಾಂಗ್ಲಾದೇಶ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್, ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ರನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಲೆಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ರೀಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ರೀಚಾರ್ಜನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಶೆಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. Comparatively, if you are going up the latitude, these northeastern winds are flowing mostly over the land mass and they do not have sufficient amount of moisture. They do not result in rainfall. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಓರೋಗ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಬ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಬರೇ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನಲ್ ವಿಂಡ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಂತು, ಮಳೆ ಆಯಿತು, ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್? ನೋ, ದೇರ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಅ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ರೈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ವಿಂಡ್, ಇದರ್ ಹೀಟ್ ಆರ್ ಅ ಬ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ದೋ ವೆರಿ ನ್ಯಾರೋ ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಮಳೆ ತೊಗೊಂಬರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಸೌತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ರೀಜನಲ್ಲಿ ಡೇಟ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎಟ್ ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಝೋನ್ ಅಂತ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಟು ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತೀನಿ, ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪ್ಲೇ ಅ ರೋಲ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ದೆನ್ ವಿಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ವಿಂಟರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಓವರ್ ಆಲ್? ಅಷ್ಟೇ, 1%, almost 1% of the rainfall, very negligible as far as rainfall is concerned. And this is the point, this is the time when the thermal equator has shifted maximum to the down south. How the? As a result of which the amount of heat energy present in the northern hemisphere becomes very less. So most importantly rather than rainfall, it is the temperature variation that we have to discuss. Correct alva? So how do you think so? Temperature varies. What about the coastal region? Coastal region, because of the moderating influence, it does not get cooled down too much. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಷ್ಟಿರ್ಬೋದು ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ? 27. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ಬರು, ಈ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮಲಿ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಲಿ, ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪೆನಿನ್ಸುಲಾ, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಸೀಸನು, ಹಾಟ್ ಸಮ್ಮರ್, ವಾರ್ಮ್ ಸಮ್ಮರ್, ಕೂಲ್ ಸಮ್ಮರ್, ಮಾಡ್ರೇಟ್ ಸಮ್ಮರ್ ಏನೇನೋ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. 4 ತಿಂಗಳು 4 ಸೀಸನ್ಸು ಸಮ್ಮರೇ. The reason is very close, high humidity and it does not get extreme. Moderation ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ವಿಂಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ 27 ಅಥವಾ 24, 25ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಯೂಶಲಿ. ಸಮ್ಮರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ 35. It does not go to 40 plus, it does not go to single digit temperature like that it happens in North Maidan. Correct ಅಲ್ವಾ? Okay, North Maidanದಲ್ಲಿ just like what I have told you, it can drop to single digit. Correct alva? 6, 5, 4. And Malnad region, will it be extreme cool? No, cool ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Correct alva? Not extreme, nothing extreme. 13, 14 minimum temperatures. I hope so you have an idea about all these things. Okay, then we are supposed to talk about, since we have an idea about distribution of rainfall, we'll directly proceed with the discussion of climatic classification. Karnataka, according to Köppen, Köppen's classification scheme, according to me, is the best one to understand the prospects of Karnataka. From the Köppen scheme, can I say tropical latitudes will be termed the symbol A? Correct alva? I don't have that liberty to go through entire Köppen's classification, so I am going through whatever applies to India, Karnataka only. A admele B. What about B? B represents dry, S represents steppe, H hot, W winter dry, M monsoonal. Köppen has demarcated Karnataka, or according to Köppen Madila, according to Köppen's classification, Karnataka's climate can be demarcated into how many categories? 3. Adyavadu? The largest, steppe. Coastal districts, monsoonal, southern Maidan, savanna, ashte. You know why wildlife is there. Haudalva? Savanna type of climate, steppe type of climate and monsoonal type of climate. These are the 3 categories. Gottide alva Köppen's classification? Class alli tumba detail agi madirtivi and you know, you are able to recall it. And any characteristics climatic, I hope so. ರೀಸೆಂಟಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಟೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಟೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಬರೆದಿರ್ತೀರ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಕೋಪನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫಿಕೇಷನ್ದ ಕ್ಲೈಮೆಟಾಲಜಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಯಿತು. ನಾನೇ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ನನಗೂ ಅದರಿಂದನೇ ಒಂದಿದು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ, ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಈಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾಪಿಕಲ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಅಂತ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ವಾಸ್ something like that, I remember, I think so. Something of that nature the question was pointing out to. That is not true, absolutely correct allo. Not entire Karnataka is under monsoonal climatic category. Overall generalized decision ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಗೆ. India is generally a tropical monsoonal climatic country ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, but that does not mean that it doesn't have any other different type of climate. Okay, steppes andre what grows well over here? Grasses. Is wheat a grass? Yeah, cereals, the grain part of it, the edible part of it, and now tauntive. So all those crops, whichever you can consider, grows well in this monsoonal. What grows well over here? Rice, paddy, whatever the the yake kharif crops anta bariyana. Savanna means only in summers you get rainfall, correct alva? To some extent ಏನು ಗ್ರೋ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ? Zaid crops grow ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, kharif crops grow ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. And what is all the more important about savanna type of climate, AW, is that wildlife. It is known for its wildlife. Southern Maidan ಅಲ್ಲಿ wildlife prospects ತುಂಬ ಜಾಸ್ತಿನಾ? ಹೌದಾ? You get so many national parks, Malnad region and Southern Maidan region, ಹೌದಾ? Yes, that is what it is. Okay na? So I hope so you've understood that. All right, taking this extension, taking this understanding to the understanding of soils of Karnataka. We know about the physiography, we know about the moisture. It is very easy now. Karnataka, those parts which have that azoic base, red soil, red yellow soil, major category of soil of Karnataka. Those parts of Karnataka that has been influenced by Cretaceous basaltic type of fissure eruption will be experiencing a black soil like condition, second largest. That part of Karnataka that is elevated, and has alternate hot and wet climatic conditions will experience a process of laterization. What does it called as? What is the soil type called as? Laterite soil. And which is the other soil type? Is there a alluvial? Yes. Is this coastal? Yeah, coastal plains alli yav jille matte innond sari UK, DK and yes, the coastal alluvial soil, the soil of deposition, correct alva? Are you aware about the characteristic features of this particular soil? Ferrous content is higher, heavier minerals are higher in proportion, correct alva? Laterite soil, the soil is deprived of silica and more enrichment in iron ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, aluminum ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, yes or no? ಅದೆಲ್ಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಸೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ, ವೆರಿ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಲಿ ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು. ಒಂದು ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ರೀಜನ್, ಪ್ಲಾಟೋ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, ಏನಾದರೂ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸೇ ಏಜೋಯಿಕ್, ವಿಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಿಲಿಕಾ ಇನ್ ಇಟ್? ಒಂದು ರಾಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಮಿನರಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ? ಸಿಲಿಕಾ, ಅಲ್ಯೂಮಿನಿಯಂ, ಯೂಶಲಿ ಸಿಲಿಕಾ, ಸಿಯಾಲ್, ಸೀಮಾ ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ? ಮ್ಯಾಂಗನೀಸ್, ಐರನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಓಕೆನಾ? But let us assume that this particular plateau, this particular elevated zone is experiencing very high temperatures in one season. Indiadalli idೆಯಾ? ಆಗ್ಬೋದಾ? ಪಕ್ಕಾ. And in this season what happens is that this soil is heated up to this plateau or this landform is heated up to very great temperatures and it undergoes something what we call it as a baking effect. ಒಂದು baking effect ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ disintegrate ಆಗುತ್ತೆ soil. Next season, immediately after summer, what do we get? Monsoon, plenty full of rainfall ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್, ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಈ ಬೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ವೆನ್ ದ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್, ವೆನ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ರೈಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬಂಡೆಂಟ್ಲಿ poured on it, ಈ ಕಾಂಪೊನೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿಲಿಕಾ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಸಾಲ್ಯುಬಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಪರ್ಕ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಡೌನ್, ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಮತ್ತೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೀಸನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೀಸನಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೈ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಸಿಲಿಕಾ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಿಲಿಕಾ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಅದರ್ ಸಾಲ್ಯುಬಲ್ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಹೆವಿಯರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಆ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಸಿಲಿಕಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕ್ಯುಮುಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಸಮ್ಮರ್ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಲರಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾನ್ಸೂನ್, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ರೇನಿ ಸೀಸನ್, ವಾಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್? ವೆನ್ ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ water poured on it, this silica will not be able to percolate inside, but it will move out laterally. Laterally it is thrown out. Laterally andre sideways. Sideways the silica will be thrown away. And if this process happens through millions of years, can I say this soil will be deprived of silica? And the rest, all the other minerals will become very enriched illi. Ade. Laterite soil ನಿಮಗೆ ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ರೆಡ್ಡಿಶ್ ಕಲರಲ್ಲೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಈ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇದು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಈ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಸಾಯಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ನೋನ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟೇಶನ್ ಕ್ರಾಪ್, ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಮಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ, ಉಡುಪಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ಯೂ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿನಾ? ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ಯೂ ಶಾಪ್ಸನ್ನು ನೀವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಗೋವಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈಮ್, ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್, ಕ್ಯಾಶ್ಯೂ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಡ್ರಿಂಕ್ಸು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಅಲುವಿಯಲ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್, ರಿವರ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಡೆಪಾಸಿಷನ್, ಝೋನಲ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ಸ್ ಇವು, they will have that organic content, they will have that mineral composition and what not taken from it. So please study, please go through what are the crops that is possible. Okay na? Study about what are the crops. I cannot go through that. All right, but there are peculiar characteristic features adanne keltare. Which districts alli yav tara ಒಂದು ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಇದೆ, it's very difficult to analyze this. ಬಟ್ ಓವರಾಲ್ ಒಂದು ಇದರಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ. ಮಲೆನಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಯೂಶಲಿ, ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ಅಲುವಿಯಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಈ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್, ಈ ರೆಡ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಷಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್, ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದು? ಟು ದ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೀದರ್, ನಾರ್ತ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೀದರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಬೀದರ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಈ ಸದರ್ನ್ ಮೈದಾನ್ ರೀಜನಲ್ಲೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಷಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Which is old, which is ancient laterite and which is recent laterite? ಹೇಳಿ, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ. ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಏನು ಅಂದರೆ, ಅದು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನು ಇತ್ತು ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಒಂದು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಇತ್ತು. ವಿಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಾಲೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಆರ್ ಈಸ್ ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಅಂದರೆ ಎಸ್, ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಈಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಯು, ಈಸ್ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ ಓಲ್ಡರ್ ಆರ್ ಅ ಪ್ಲಾಟೋ ಸಿಚುವೇಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಬೀದರ್ ಈಸ್ ಓಲ್ಡರ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಆ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನನ್ನು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸಲ್ಲೂ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಈ ಬೀದರಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಸೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ತುಂಬ ಬೇಗ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲೇಟಾಗಿ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ಸನ್ನು ಏನ್ಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ಸನ್ನು ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದೇ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಮಾಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಇಫ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ದ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಓಲ್ಡರ್ ಅಮಾಂಗ್ ದೀಸ್ ಟು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಬಟ್ ಸಾಯಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಹಿಡನ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನನ್ನು ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಲೂಸನ್ನು ಹುಡುಕಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಶಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬೈ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗೋ. ಈ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಿದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ರೈಟ್, ಇದನ್ನು ಇದಂತಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? ದೆನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಐ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್, ದ ಮಾಯಿಶ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ದ ಫಿಸಿಯೋಗ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಫೀಚರ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಇನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ? What kind of natural vegetation do you find in Karnataka? Natural vegetation andre that grows without human intervention. Correct alva? What kind of natural vegetation can you expect in Karnataka? Can you expect evergreen forests? For that, what do you require? Which part of Karnataka are evergreen in nature? Western side of? Correct? If it is evergreen in nature, or if the rainfall in a particular place is abundantly high enough, can I say it will be supporting higher biodiversity? Correct alva? Will the trees be closely spaced? Will the trees in a small space will have number of species in it? Pakka? Okay. Will the trees be taller? Valle, nutrition kotre, how it is. Water, soils avella, and there is no dearth of fertile soil, organic content and whatnot. Okay. Will the tree grow taller? Yes. Will the tree have branching? The higher the water, the taller the trees are. Usually, not necessarily. Usually, you can take this. And the branching will happen only at the top. Correct alwa? A chain tara ಒಂದು chain ಅಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ಲಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಏನದು canopy, top canopy ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. It's very tall. That restricts sunlight penetration to the ground. ಹೌದಾ? So what should happen to others? Everyone requires sunlight there. Everyone andre all the flora require sunlight. But if this tall trees are blocking all the sun rays, what will happen to the other lower floral species? They will have to develop some special adaptations. Epiphytes. They depend on someone else for nutrition. Correct alwa? Avaru tappenilla. Trees have blocked it, so they are depending on trees. Correct alwa? You are not letting me make my own food. I am going to take your food. Epiphytes, creepers, avella bartave. And animals ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, what kind of animals can you find? In such a situation, in such a setup, can you find big terrestrial animals? Big terrestrial animals require a lot of space to move around. There is no space here. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Comparatively, those animals that have the capability of climbing trees can survive here. So which of the animals can survive? Arboreal adaptability ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? You will get a lot of primates, lot of apes here. Correct? Have you ever heard about lion-tailed macaque? There are some wildlife sanctuaries dedicated to that in Karnataka also. Are you understanding this? Okay. Then what about, sir? Oh, yes. Soil ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. But before that, can I say, can you find leopards here? Can leopards climb trees? Can leopards climb trees? To a certain extent they can. Zoo ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಲೆಪರ್ಡ್ ಕೇಜನ್ನು ಫುಲ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? They can climb, but I am not saying they have that arboreal capability, but that is what they have developed it. Okay. If the proportion of the rainfall reduces, what happens? How does the vegetation change? The vegetation declines in height, the spacing increases, number of species decreases. So the next category of vegetation that we are probably going to see in Karnataka we are going to experience in Karnataka is the deciduous variant. Evergreen variant ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಬರೋದು? Deciduous. Evergreen vegetation is that vegetation that can retain its biomass throughout the year because there is abundant amount of rainfall. It's throughout the year especially. But if the rainfall is seasonal, which is the case in some parts of Karnataka, if the rainfall is seasonal, ಈ season 4 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಳೆ ಬರೋದು ಅಥವಾ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಈ ಮಳೆ ಬರೋದು, rest of the season is dry. What is the adaptability that trees will develop? They will shed their leaves in order to conserve that water and whatnot to maintain that foliage. Correct alva? So, and depending upon the rainfall categories, we can subcategorize deciduous forest as moist and dry. Correct alva? Moist andre 125 plus rainfall idre nimige ಒಂದು moist category of deciduous category anta barutte. And ultimately, I don't want to go into everything line by line, but if you go through it, if you are reading it, whichever source you have, please follow these principles. If the amount of rainfall, you know it, where is this and what not. If it reduces, what will happen to the size of the trees? Will reduce. I don't say deciduous forests do not have tall trees, they will have it, but not as much as many as evergreen variant. Correct alva? Ee rosewood, ee mahogany, vella, it's very famous ali. And deciduous forest is known for timber. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಎವರ್ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆರ್ ಇಕ್ವೆಟೋರಿಯಲ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ದ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೂ ಹೈ and the spacing is less, evacuating that cut, whatever the timber, the trees that you have cut is very difficult. But ಅದೇ deciduous categoriesally ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಕಷ್ಟ ಇರಲ್ಲ. You get whatever species you desire, you want in a continuous frame ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ಎವರ್ಗ್ರೀನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಸ್ಪೀಸಿ ನನಗೆ ಬೇಕಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮರ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಮೂಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದರ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ 10-20 ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಗಿಡ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಐ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್? ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಫಾಲೋ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಎವರ್ಗ್ರೀನ್ ವೆರೈಟೀಸ್, ದೆರ್ ಇಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ dry and moist and dry deciduous. Is there a littoral vegetation category in Karnataka? Littoral andre brackish water will survive. I hope so. Mangroves is what I am talking about. Saline species, saline tolerant species. Which part? Coastal part. There is no price to guess that, And then is there a xerophytic adaptability in Karnataka? Thorny vegetation, thorns, scrubs. Yes, which part? Rainfall less than 60 ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದು? What is the adaptability ಇಲ್ಲಿ? Xerophytic adaptability ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Long roots. Okay, ಮತ್ತೆ? Instead of leaves, thorns and spikes. Correct ಅಲ್ವಾ? Fleshy stem. ಕೇಳಿದಿರಾ ಕ್ಯಾಕ್ಟಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಅದು ಫ್ಲೆಶಿ ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ನೋ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಓಕೆ. ನೀಮ್ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಭಾಳ ಇರ್ತಾವಲ್ವ ನಾವು ಅಕೇಶಿಯಾ ನೀಮ್ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಇರುವಂಥ ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಸಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಡೆಸಿಡುವಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಸಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯಾವುದು ಝೆರೋಫೈಟಿಕ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಡೌಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಓಕೆ. ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಲೋಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ? ಲೋಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಝೋನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ? ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದಲ್ವ? ಚಳಿಕೆರೆ ನಾಯಕನಹಟ್ಟಿ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಡ್ರೈ ಅಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಡ್ರೈ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್? ಓಕೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬಟ್ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ನಾಟ್ ದ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್, ಮಾಂಟೇನ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಎಲಿವೇಟೆಡ್ ಝೋನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ. ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ತುಂಬ ಹೈ ವೆಸ್ಟರ್ನ್ ಘಾಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಅ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್? ಮಾಂಟೇನ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ದಿಸ್? ಮಾಂಟೇನ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ದ ಎಲಿವೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ಹೈ ದಟ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ is a factor that reduces, again biodiversity comes down. And usually I am talking about the elevation which is greater than 1400 to 1500 meters of elevation. There are many points in Karnataka that are above 1400 to 1500. Helboda? Usually along the crest of the Western Ghats anta heltivi. Correct alva? What will happen to that biodiversity? Will it be too much or will it be less? Will trees be supported on a large scale? No. Comparatively meadows anta heltivi, grasses, one legdalli meadows, shola forest, all these are adaptations. I hope so you know about all these things. All right. Then we are supposed to talk about some environmental aspects of Karnataka. Can you tell me how many national parks does Karnataka have? I believe I have given you a list. Ide alva? Okay. How many national parks can you find in Karnataka? Which are they? There is a government report, government document that has been released. I hope so you have to go through it. I have given it. People who do not have it, please ask. They would give it to you. Yes, there are definitely 5 national parks. Which are they, please? Bannerghatta National Park, okay. Kudremukh National Park, Anshi National Park, matte Nagarhole and ade Rajiv Gandhi National Park, Nagarhole. Then Bandipura. Of this, my question to you, which has the largest geographical area? Which has the largest geographical area? Bandipur. Second largest? Nagarhole. Smallest? Bannerghatta. ಈ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಿದೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ಲೋರಾ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಾನಾ, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ generally to conserve the entire ecosystem. It's not like a particular species like a wildlife sanctuary. So you have that thing. And if I have to ask you, how many wildlife sanctuaries in Karnataka? You don't know anta heltira? Inta category of questions barutte, ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು? 36 government report ಅಲ್ಲಿ 22 23 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್, I am assuming that is updated. 36 ಹೌದಾ? 36. Not necessary that you have to know about each and everything, but a very strong recommendation, a very strong suggestion is that you have to go through these names, because the category of question what you can expect is which wildlife sanctuary is dedicated to or is in pursuit of conserving which animal. There are some of the very critically endangered animals. Correct alva? Tungabhadra otter. Have you ever heard about such a thing? ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ, ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ ಆಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಬಕ್. ಎಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ. ರಾಣಿಬೆನ್ನೂರಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಭಾಳಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ನೂ 2 ಜಾಗಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಯೂಶಲಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಯು ಮೈಟ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, ಇಫ್ ಸಚ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಬಂದರೆ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಸಿ ಎ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಈ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್, ಈ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಯಾನ್ಚುರಿ ಈ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಓವರ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ geographical space. Correct alva? So that is what something that you have to definitely. But I would like to tell you one category of question, that which is the largest wildlife sanctuary? National park adu Kaveri Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay na? That is followed by, I have this list, ಅದೇ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವೆಬ್ಸೈಟಿಂದನೇ ಈ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಿರೋದು. ಶರಾವತಿ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ LTM ಸ್ಯಾಂಚುರಿ. LTM ಅಂದರೆ ಲಯನ್ ಟೇಲ್ಡ್ ಮಕೇಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನ್ಯೂಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಇದು, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ವೆರಿ ವೆಲ್ ಇದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ, ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅಫೇರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿರ್ಬೋದು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ರೀಸೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಎಕೋಲಾಜಿಕಲಿ ಸೆನ್ಸಿಟಿವ್ ಝೋನ್ ಅಂತ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಇದನ್ನು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಈ ಶರಾವತಿ ವ್ಯಾಲಿ LTM ಲಯನ್ ಟೇಲ್ಡ್ ಮಕೇಕ್ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಚುರಿ. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮಳೆ ಮಹಾದೇಶ್ವರ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಚುರಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್. ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವುದು ಸ್ಮಾಲೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವುದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಸಮನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಿ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ಲಿ?
Conservation reserves are the basis of government acts.
Both are.
These are community driven.
Okay, let me ask you some questions. Based on that questions you answer this, you will understand this. Community reserve and conservation reserve, ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೂ ಓನ್ಸ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್? It private, not only tribes. It can be a hotel also. There are some examples where hotels have been owning land, right? Community reserves alli the community is the basis. It need not necessarily be a government land. Conservation reserves pakka notified by the state government, there is no doubt about this fact. Notified to protect, some of the crucial habitats. And usually ee community reserves agli, ee conservation reserves agli, this is around, in and around protected areas. Because nodi, sometimes you have seen very closely, ನಾಗರಹೊಳೆ ಬಂಡೀಪುರ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇಟ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಓವರ್ ದೇರ್. ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದರೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು ಹೋದ್ರೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು. ಪ್ರಾಬಬಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕೇಸ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಗರಹೊಳೆ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ ಹೈಪೋಥೆಟಿಕಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲೆಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಬಿ ಬಂಡೀಪುರ. All right, it extends even in Tamil Nadu. But my point is, this is a national park, right? These two are national parks, or there might be a wildlife sanctuary, some wildlife sanctuaries akpakdalli. What if an animal decides to go from here to here? And what if something happens in between? You are not in violation of the act, correct alva? You cannot, probably some restrictions ittirtare national parcel. You cannot go in, you cannot do what. Basic objective is not to disturb that particular animal. What if something happens in this in between? Usually corridors kelidira, elephant corridors, correct alla? Wildlife corridors kelidira ee concept ana. ಈ ರೀಜನ್ ಸಮ್ ಕ್ರೂಷಲ್ ರೀಜನ್ಸನ್ನು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಯಾವ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ತರೋದು? ಈ ಥರ ತೊಗೊಂಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಚುರಿ, ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು? ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? If I am in power in the central government and I don't like one particular state or the CM over there, ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್, ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಯಾಂಚುರೀಸ್ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ. ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ವಾ? ರೈಟ್? ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ಸನ್ನು ಹಾಕೋಕ್ಕೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಬ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಡೌನ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್. ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಒಂದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ವಾ? ಟು ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಲಿಮಿಟೇಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಈ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸನ್ನು ತೊಗೊಂಬಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್. ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬೋತ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ಸೇ. ಚೀಫ್ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ವಾರ್ಡನ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಸೋಲ್ ಅಥಾರಿಟಿ ಟು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್. ಬಟ್ ಎಸ್, ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರದು. ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಈ ಆ್ಯನಿಮಲ್ಸ್, ಸಮ್ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಅ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆ್ಯನಿಮಲ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಭಾಳ ವೆರಿ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇದು. ಜನರ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ದೇ ಡೂ ಇಟ್ ವೆರಿ ಇನ್ ಅ ಮಚ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ವೇ. ಅರುಣಾಚಲ್ ಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಸ್ನೋ ಲೆಪರ್ಡನ್ನು ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನನ್ನು ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್. ವೆರಿ ದಟ್ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಿಂಗ್ ಓವರ್ ದರ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಜನರ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ದ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ದ ವೈಲೇಟರ್ಸ್ ದೇರ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಮೇಡ್ ದೆಮ್, ಅದೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹೂ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ನೊಟೋರಿಯಸ್, ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಲೀಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಸೇಮ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಟ್ಲ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ. ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್. ದ ಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್, ಆಫ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ಇಟ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಪಕ್ಕಾ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎನಿ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ, ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ? ಎಸ್, ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? There is one, as of now there is one and there are 3 proposed. Yes, please, Ivella, I don't want to list it over here. Directly you can go to the forest department, the forest wing. One day as of now. One day irodu. 2-3 propose ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. I don't know what is at what stage is that. Right? Directly you have this in the forest website, right, of Government of Karnataka. Adanna please download ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ. ಪಕ್ಕಾ ಅದರಿಂದ some category of questions ಬಂದೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. And especially with respect to the forest. And last thing I would like to tell you, forest ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು. Forest, since we are speaking about natural vegetation, forest, which district has the largest proportion of forest? There are 2 concepts here. If the district is very large, even if 30% of it is forest, it will still be larger than a smaller district which has 80% of it is forest. So, ee confusion ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಜಾಗ್ರಫಿಕಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂತಲೂ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಜಾಗ್ರಫಿಕಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಇಫ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಜಾಗ್ರಫಿಕಲ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಓನ್ಲಿ, ರೈಟ್, ದ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಉತ್ತರ ಕನ್ನಡ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗ. ಈ ಮಲೆನಾಡು ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಮಲೆನಾಡನ್ ಯು ನೋ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಚಾಮರಾಜನಗರ. ನೋಡಿ, ಡೆಸಿಡುವಸ್ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ರೀಜನ್, AW ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಫೋರ್ತ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಗಳೂರು. ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಮಲೆನಾಡು ರೀಜನ್. ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಬೆಳಗಾವಿ. ಬೆಳಗಾವಿ, ಆಫ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್. ವಿಚ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟಾಪ್ 5 districts in terms of geographical size? ಬೆಳಗಾವಿ, ಕಲಬುರ್ಗಿ, ತುಮಕೂರು, ವಿಜಯನಗರ ಆರ್ ವಿಜಯಪುರ, ವಿಜಯಪುರ and ಉತ್ತರ ಕನ್ನಡ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ. ಉತ್ತರ ಕನ್ನಡ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ. So you will have to take and very intelligent. It's not possible sometimes that you can remember all this data ಅಂತ. But ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಲ್ಲಿ you have to definitely take an intelligent guess. Okay, in terms of geographical area ಇದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ and ಮಲೆನಾಡು regional ಬಂದರೆ ಪಕ್ಕ it will have a very high proportion of forest area. Are you understanding? That's the case with Vijaypura, that's the case with Uttara Kannada Jille. Are you understanding this? But as a proportion of its, as a percentage of its geographical area, which district has the highest? It's again Uttara Kannada. I told you, one of the largest and plus Malnad regional idre, you follow the same thing. Okay. Then followed by Shivamogga, followed by Chamarajnagara, again the same thing mostly. Where it changes is Kodagu comes here. That is not the case in terms of total geographical area. And if I tell you also this, which is the forest, which is the district that has the least forest area? Yaudadu? Least yaudu? Okay. Yes, as a proportion. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಇದು ಈ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್? ಹೇಳಿ. ವಿಜಯಪುರದಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಕಮ್ಮಿನಾ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾ? ಕಾಂಟ್ ಯು ಗೆಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಲೋಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಝೋನ್? ನಾರ್ತ್ ಮೈದಾನ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ? ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್, ಆಸ್ ಅ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್, ಈ ಕಲಬುರಗಿ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, ಈ ವಿಜಯಪುರ ಆಗಿರಲಿ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಳೆ ತುಂಬ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ಓವರ್ ಆಲ್ ಏನು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಷನ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್, ನೋ ಡೌಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಲೆಸ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎನ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆಂಟ್ ಗೆಸ್. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಡೇಟಾ ಬೈ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರ್ತವೆ, ಸಮ್ ವೇ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಅದರ್ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಸಮ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಟು develop some principles that if question appears, you will be able to answer this based on rainfall, based on its relief feature. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸ್ಲೋಪ್ ಇದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೈಟ್ ಇದ್ರೂ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ದಟ್ ಅಬೌವ್ 1400 meters ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದಟ್ ಮೌಂಟೇನ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. meadows start ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ instead of forest trees. Are you understanding this fact? All right? Okay. That's all as of now. Thank you so much. A suggestion would be agricultural regions. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ರೀಜನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ 10 ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ರೀಜನ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ. ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್, ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಬಟ್ ಐ ಕುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಸ್, ಯಾವ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ರೀಜನ್, ಯಾವ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಯಾವ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ರೀಜನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ನಂಬರ್ 1. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ರೀಜನ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಳೆ, ರೈನ್ಫಾಲ್ ಏನು, ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಏನು, ಇವೆರಡು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ. based on that crops, naturally you can answer it. Our category of question easier on category ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ, but again ಯಾವ agricultural zone ಯಾವ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, that is what they can definitely expect it. Okay na? All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. It was a wonderful pleasure addressing you all. I hope so you do well in your exam. All the best. Thank you.